All right, guys, welcome back. This is another episode of 007 Tuesdays. And this week we are covering Quantum of Solace, the sequel to Casino Royale.
Sequel it is.
And I gotta say, I think I said Casino Royale was perfect on the last episode.
You did. Bad idea.
I would take it back if I could, but
Yeah.
it's recorded in history now. But just let it be known on this episode, I would have brought it down a notch on our scale.
Oh.
So I would have eagled it. I actually said in the last episode that I almost eagled it.
You did.
But it was just such an important movie in the history of James Bond, which it is, and I won't take away from that. But in terms of writing and direction style, Quantum of Solace is a game changer. I don't know how I forgot about how good this movie is. It is so good. Fun fact, I actually watched it twice for this episode.
Nice.
And I was waiting until we started recording to tell you that, but I rewatched it last night into this morning just to like... Well, I did that because, like I was telling you before we started, the story is so deep. You know, like I said, it's like an onion. There's so many layers. And if you pay attention to things, this is a credit to the writers, they are building up to something big in upcoming movies, and they know that. It's like they've got this whole series of the Craig Bond on a giant whiteboard, and we've just seen one little block of that whiteboard. In this movie, at least.
Right.
And I'm just ready. I'm just going to start busting them out. I can't wait. But anyways. Yeah, so really enjoyed this movie. And we'll get into all that stuff after a word from our sponsor. Do you want to start a podcast? Well, now you can, for free. And it's as easy as downloading the new Spotify podcast app to your phone and or computer and hitting record. Spotify Podcasts allows you to record anytime or upload files and provides all the tools you'll need to make your episode sound as solid as stone. Spotify Podcasts is the new home for any podcasters looking to expand their brand and reach new audiences across the globe. That's the storyline? Dude, it's usually like 2 paragraphs.
It actually really infuriates me.
What? Damn, I should have wrote my own.
Yeah.
Damn it, I didn't know that. Usually they've got a good one on here in case I don't. Wow. That's really it.
How? What the hell happened? Give me that one sentence.
Yeah, guys, we're back. So usually I start rambling on, and then Dima says, "Hey, dumbass, what happens in this movie?" And then I read a synopsis that I will usually type one up on my own that's creative, and I try to be a little funny. But on lazier days, I will read the one that's on IMDb, because it's usually pretty lengthy and detailed and sums everything up in a nice little bow. Yeah. That is not the case today. So today is a lazy day. I did not type up my own. But even worse, IMDb literally has a sentence. Go ahead and ask me, Dima.
What the hell happened?
Oh! 007, Quantum of Solace. James Bond battles the evil Quantum Organization, as well as a new enemy. It's a sentence.
Yeah,
It's a sentence.
Somebody definitely went in. I don't believe that is the full thing. Somebody went in, they hit that edit button, and they deleted everything but that. And I'll believe nothing less.
I don't know. That's sad. I'm pretty sure the Spy Kids movies have bigger storylines on them than that.
It definitely does.
Spoiler warning. Spoiler warning. We are spoiling this movie, as we always do.
Always.
Now, I guess we should do ratings. See, this is why I'm torn about my rating on Casino Royale, because this one, for me, would be a hole-in-one.
Yeah.
I don't have 1X. That's never happened before. Even Casino Royale had an X.
Right.
I think it had 3, actually.
Wow.
I don't have one issue with this movie. Not one. I think it's perfect. Hole-in-one. That's my rating.
I'll eagle this.
Okay.
I thought it was decent.
I almost did that.
The beginning confused me. I thought he shot White in the face at the end of Casino Royale.
But is he dead?
Like, that's kind of how I took it.
He's never a confirmed death, though.
Correct, but that's kind of how I took it, so I got confused when I started it.
Okay, that's
I mean,
fair.
it's
That's
more
fair.
of a nitpick for me than anything. Like, I feel like it was implied, like, yeah, he's dead now. Like, he took his vengeance and killed him.
It's kind of like how Mathis is all of a sudden a good guy in this movie.
Right, that's true.
And then we get like a convenient summary of how he became a good guy again from his lady friend who lives with him. It's like, oh, thanks for the update. Cool.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
Because we literally find out he's a good guy when Bond has to go to him for help. And it's like,
Right.
what?
Yeah.
So, anyways, but I liked that. That's the thing.
No, I did too.
I like all the layers of deception within the story as it pertains to our protagonist, but also how it pertains to us as the viewer. Because you get surprised.
Yeah.
It's not predictable.
No, it's not.
And it's not just like a gotcha moment to have one. It's a gotcha moment that is backed up with good storytelling.
Yes.
And I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So, now, talking about the opening of the movie, what did you think about starting with that car chase?
I thought the opening was absolutely perfection. I
Dude.
loved that opening.
It starts high energy, intensity, and we don't even know what's going on. Yeah. We just know that he's getting chased.
Yeah. And see, I like the
and there's a death
way
within the first 8 seconds of the movie.
Yep.
I gotta point that out.
Yeah, no, I like the way
brutal.
they filmed it because it went from like bouncing from the close up right there to like just looking at I can't remember mountainside or something, or like the outside of the tunnel or whatever.
Oh yeah,
and it was like you could tell it's a very stressful situation, but it felt very calm at the same time.
Yeah,
From the outside, and then as soon as they brought it back to right in front of the camera right in front of their face, then it was stressful again, and they bounced back and forth with that very quick and very smoothly. It was perfectly executed.
yeah. Actually, I'm glad you just said that. The director for this, Adam Gasoline, probably mispronouncing that. Definitely am mispronouncing that,
100%.
but I have to say, the directional tone in this in general is worlds apart from what we saw in Casino Royale.
Yes.
And it was definitely better. I always forget that director's name. Martin Campbell. He also did Goldeneye. So he definitely had a redemption arc in terms of like 94 to 2004. But this is just god tier filmmaking. Like, there's little shots he does. Like, the camera will be set up on, like, a rod where someone's going to put a clothes hanger really quick.
Yeah.
And it's, like, 2 seconds, and then he cuts back to what's going on. But it's just stuff like that. It really adds to, like, the scene in general. So if Bond and Camille are walking down the hallway and someone's hanging up a uniform, oh, I got to cut to that uniform just being placed so elegantly on this. It's like, you know, most people aren't going to care about that, but I think of shit like that. So when I was watching this movie, I was just like, nice.
Yeah, no, it adds to it.
Dude, yeah. And he's got a lot of stuff like that. Like, there's a lot of shots where the camera's on the ground, and you'll see water trickling down to a puddle, and then it cuts to Bond walking into a building. It's like, that didn't matter at all to the context of the story, but it was cool.
Right.
So, I love that. So, yeah, the direction style in this movie is great. Also, anytime Bond is falling, or if he's on a platform and it collapses, the camera cuts to you going with Bond.
Yeah.
So, like, we'll get into all that. I don't want to jump ahead, but yeah, love the direction style in this movie. I'm actually curious to see what else he's done. I meant to look that up, and I forgot to. Oh, he did The Last of Us? He did Doom? Okay. Oh, video games. He's a writer. Ah, okay. So wait a minute. What else has he directed?
There should be a director area somewhere. There it is.
That's it? Oh, he did the video game.
Yeah.
That's what's going on. Okay, hold on, folks. I think we've got the wrong... Oh! Oh, the video game... Dude, that's annoying. That is so annoying. I was going to say, because I had the director down as Mark Forster. And I was like, maybe I misread that. You know what? That would explain why the
What's a sentence?
Was a sentence. Yeah. Okay. I'm an idiot. I didn't even realize that.
There it is.
Yeah. That says movie.
Yep. Not.
Let's see what we got down here. I'm scared. It's gonna be a nice.
Dude, it's a fat paragraph.
All right, guys. I blundered. I was on. I didn't know there were video games for these. I'm not gonna lie. I didn't know there were video games. They're obviously not that great if I wasn't aware of them. Okay, guys. I was on the IMDb for the video game of Quantum of Solace, and that's why there was a sentence for the synopsis.
Yep, we're professionals.
Kyle, what the hell happened in this movie? I'm glad you asked, Dima. Is there solace in revenge? James Bond and M sniff a shadowy international network of power and corruption, reaping billions. As Bond pursues the agents of an assassination attempt on M, all roads lead to Dominique Green, a world-renowned developer of green technology. Green, a nasty piece of work, is intent on securing barren area of Bolivia in exchange for helping a strong man stage a coup there? I'm confused by that.
Not like strong man, like strong, but like a very powerful man.
Okay. The CIA looks the other way, and only Bond, with help from a retired spy and a mysterious beauty, stands in Green's way. M wonders if she can trust Bond or if vengeance possesses him. Can anyone drawn to Bond live to tell the tale?
No.
So there we go. All right, guys. Sorry for the delayed synopsis on this.
Jay Haley did a very good job writing that out.
Yeah.
That's perfectly.
I've never heard the strongman thing threw me off. I've never heard it worded like that, but I'm a moron. Or a simpleton, as Jordan would say. All right. Okay, see, this looks more movie-like. I like how... Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Mark Forster. I was correct. All right. Well, great job on direction with this movie. I'm going to put the trash can right in front of you, and then it's going to go over it. Mm-hmm. Anyways, all right. So, yeah, the car chase scene was great. Like I said, there's a death within the first 8 seconds of this movie. Bond side pushes a car into opposing traffic, and a semi-truck just annihilates him head-on. I was like, ooh, damn. But yeah, it was epic. I was captivated, even though I didn't know what was going on, and that says a lot. Because usually a car chase to me is boring, unless you know at least why it's happening. I didn't care. I was like, this is badass. Yeah, no, it
sounded very good.
And that car he's in gets destroyed.
Absolutely.
I love when he rolls in to the head, like where they're meeting up in Italy, and the car door's missing and shit. It's fucking great. But anyways, we do get explanation to why the car chase was happening.
Right.
Because he's apprehended a Mr. White, who is in the trunk of his car. And it turns out that they are meeting M. Oh, and I shouldn't skip, because right there is where the title sequence happens.
Yeah.
That is badass. The song is badass.
Yeah, I really like that song.
It's like a hard rock sound. I'm trying to remember what band it reminds me of. But, anyways. But yeah, anyway, so yeah, they're meeting up with M and other agents from MI6, and they're going to interrogate Mr. White. And that's where the betrayal happens from M's trusted bodyguard of 5 years, I think she says, or
something like that.
Yeah,
Mitchell.
But she said he passed his polygraph every year. It's like, well, that obviously ain't working.
Nope.
But the seed right there, they're planting seeds for, because she's like, what is this agency?
Right.
You know, how can this happen?
Yeah.
That just means there is a power at work that we aren't privy to, and that we can't even understand the extent of their reach. Right. To be able to have a guy who's the bodyguard for M be with her for that many years without any suspicion, any red flags. Yeah. And then, oh yeah, I betrayed you.
Yep.
What?
And what I like about it is, like, you find out who these people are and what they're doing when Bond finds out. Mm-hmm. It's not like other films where you already see things and know things before they do.
Yeah.
So even as the viewer, you have no idea who's who, who's good, who's bad. you don't know who he should trust or anything like that. So it's just perfectly written. I loved it.
Yeah. Let's see where we're at here. So, oh yeah. Okay. We get our first foot chase right after that because he's chasing her bodyguard.
Yep.
Or Bond's chasing him. Yeah. And we got some kind of parkour stuff. It's mainly just like insane jumps and running on rooftops and stuff. But that leads into one of the coolest fight sequences in a Bond movie ever.
Yeah.
Just randomly on a chase like this. I wasn't like, I was kind of caught off guard. Because for one, they're in that, I don't know what it is, it's a building that's under construction. You know, they got the scaffolding and everything.
Yeah.
But they end up falling and they're hanging from ropes and fighting upside down while the building's kind of falling apart. Like, it was just so epic. Yeah. And again, the way it was filmed, so cool. And I like that the guy gets free and is coming to kill Bond, and Bond just gets the gun off the ground and shoots him.
Right.
But here's what's funny about this movie. Bond gets in trouble for killing people, even though, like, in every situation, he would have died had he had not done it.
Exactly.
But somehow he's, like, in trouble. Like, M's constantly mad at him for... And that's what leads to her whole theory of, like, I can't trust him. He's driven by madness with vengeance.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's like, that dude's just staying alive. Like,
he's doing what you're paying him to
literally,
do.
every time she's mad at him,
It's a justified
someone
kill.
was trying to kill him.
Yes.
So it's like, he was supposed to just apprehend them? Like, he's just worried about surviving. Yeah. It's not like he had them apprehended and then he's like, you know what?
Just
I'm going to kill
execution.
you. No, like, he's just doing what he does.
That's the thing, is like, it is such a brass way to think. Like, when you're high up on the food chain, you know, it's so easy sitting behind that desk and saying, like, oh, you shouldn't have killed him, you should have apprehended him. But at the end of the day, in all reality, as he shows, and you know, anybody would show in that situation, you're killing them because you're going to die.
Yeah.
Because they're going to kill you. So
Yeah.
saying like, oh, you shouldn't have killed him, it's like, all right, enjoy your ivory desk. You know?
Yeah, I don't know. That's my one thing, because after this, and here's what's funny. So for that running scene and fight sequence with the ropes, I put a big check mark.
Yeah, that was huge.
And I was like, awesome. And then
Great
afterwards, we learn that M isn't happy with Bond for killing him because now we can't question him.
Right.
And I said, M not happy with Bond. Here we go again. It's like, can this dude ever just do his job?
No, never.
And you just trust that
No,
he knows what
never.
he's doing? Like, why is it always like, we start off, oh, I'm done with you, Bond. And then by the end of the movie, it's like, oh, I need you, Bond. She literally says that at the end of this movie.
She does.
She says, I need you back. And he's like, I was never gone.
Right.
It's like, and I'm sure the next movie, we're going to start off with her, like, suspending him and canceling his passport and credit card. It's like, what are we doing? Like, haven't we learned we can trust Bond by now?
No, never.
Good Lord. Anyways. But it's okay. I like that dynamic between them, and I like that it makes Bond's job a little harder so he doesn't just feel like this God mode
Untouchable.
superhero. Yeah. But
it makes sense. I can see it as a very realistic, like, area. Like I said, like, the brass is always worried about the politics side of things.
yeah.
But then the grunt with the boots on the ground
yeah.
is doing what is needed to do. So I feel like, you know, because she is, you know, the boss, because everything does fall back on her from the government itself and people higher than her, she's going to be worried about stuff like that. And she's also thinking, like, if, you know, she wasn't there, so there's no way for her to know, like, you had no other choice. She's just assuming, like, you're pissed off because she betrayed you and you fell in love with her and you allowed her to get close. So now you're just killing everybody because it's how you're relieving your stress. And I can't afford that because we need to know who these people are who just shot me. And so I can understand it from her point of view. But at the same time, seeing it from Bond's point of view, it's like, we know he had no choice.
Yeah.
Like, get over it. But, you know, it's just depending on which side whose eyes you're looking through at that point in time.
Yeah, and at least we can understand that she knows that Bond is conflicted
Yeah.
with wanting to get revenge and how that could play into his decision making. So like it is justified to an extent.
Yes.
But it's like every time he kills somebody in this movie, she's not happy with him.
Happy.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. Can we at least ask him like the circumstances?
Right.
Because then
No,
you
it's like she
understand
doesn't even care.
He had to kill them.
Right.
But I guess she thinks there's always a choice. I don't know.
And it also helps push the movie forward.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But yeah, so we end up realizing, that M is basically in severe danger.
Yes.
And she's not happy with Bond, and she's asked that he really tries to leave people alive.
Yeah.
And then we get the explanation of LeSchaefer's money being traced, and how they have followed it to these different transactions, and we see a Mr. Slate, can't remember his name. It's the geologist that Bond replaces.
Yeah.
But there's supposed to be this guy that's meeting with them, and they find out what room he's staying in and where. So Bond goes there and replaces him. I will say the fight with him was quick, but it was really well choreographed because Bond enters his little hotel room, whatever it is, and it's just very quiet, and you hear the knife pop out.
Yeah.
And then there's like wind blowing on the jewels hanging in the doorway, and then that motherfucker just comes running out, and Bond just knew. And I don't know, that was such a well choreographed fight.
It was.
And it's quick, and the way Bond gets him out on the patio, on the balcony, and like he has him in that hole and just slowly like stabs him in his artery in his leg. And he's just looking around, like letting this guy
waiting
bleed
for this
out.
dude to die.
I was like, wow.
No, it was a perfect,
Just quick
like
and
said,
efficient.
it was very perfectly choreographed, and
Yeah.
there's not much to say about that other than that. There's you can't really break it down any more than just plainly say it's perfect.
Yeah, but it was funny because I was sitting here like, why does the geologist have these like? Because like, yeah, he lost to Bond, but he came out like you could tell he had some combat training.
But that dude knew what he was doing.
And I was like,
Bond is just an expert.
I was like, this guy is not a geologist.
No.
Like, there's something going on here. So yeah, we come to find out. Bond gets the briefcase. He goes walking out of the building, and at this point, he's just flying with the wind and seeing where he lands because he doesn't know what's happening. He knows like he was supposed to be meeting with somebody. There's a briefcase. That's about it. So Bond takes this guy out. He replaces him. So now he's posing as the geologist. He's walking out of the building, and that's when we get introduced to Camille.
Yeah.
She comes rolling up, and she's just like, "Get in," and he's like, "Okay," like okay, guess this is where I'm going next. And turns out like she was supposed to be picking him up to take him to meet Dominique.
Yeah.
But then she realizes that something's going on because they open a briefcase and it's got a picture of her inside.
Yeah.
With a gun, I believe.
Yeah, there's a gun.
And it's like, oh, because even Bond's like, I think someone's trying to kill you.
Right.
But he doesn't realize like she's looking at him like that briefcase is meant for you. You're supposed to kill me.
Yeah.
So then she goes to kill Bond, and that leads to him like getting kicked out of the car. So yeah, I just think that's funny how that all played out.
Dude,
It's like Bond almost forgot for a second that he was supposed to be this guy that knows why this is in the briefcase. He's like, oh, I think someone's trying to kill you. But anyways, I like how the guy on the dirt bike rolls up, and he's like, you're supposed to shoot her, and he's like,
I missed.
Yeah. The guy tries to take off, and he fucking clears him off the bike.
See, even that little tiny scene was just like the way he got him off that bike was so efficient. More likely than not, very unrealistic.
Well, yeah.
But
there's always the fantastical elements,
for sure.
But
But it was almost believable enough that, like, okay, if that guy were to lean back too far and pop the wheel up a little bit, Bond possibly could hit him off enough, and then I think he, like, punched him or hit him in the face or something as he was falling or something like that.
Yeah, he cleared him.
So, like, it wasn't completely unrealistic, but it was a very Bond thing to do, and it just looked badass that you didn't really care about anything else with it. It was a nice little, like, added "fuck you, where am I going next" kind of thing.
Yeah. So then after that, Bond follows Camille. She goes to this shipyard, which is fenced in and guarded. So it's like, okay, that's where bad guys are.
Yeah.
And this is where we get introduced to Dominique Green, who is the main antagonist in this film. Now, immediately what's interesting about him as an antagonist is he's a decent-looking guy with no deformities.
Yeah, that was weird.
And none are ever revealed to us. Now, his right-hand man, Elvis, we get revealed later that his hair is fake.
Yeah.
And then he gets a neck collar, which is funny. But, yeah. I was like, okay, we just got a normal-looking bad guy. So that was interesting. Because the whole time I was waiting for, like, the main...
Yeah.
I was like, oh, I think this guy's it. Yeah. But we also realized through their interaction that he was the one that wanted her dead.
Yeah.
But she comes walking up to his desk, and you can tell immediately he's like, oh, you're here. You're supposed to be dead.
Right.
So she confronts Dominique about that. And then we come to find out as they start to walk and talk that it's because he was aware that she was using him to get to a certain general.
Yeah. And
this general, which is General Madareno? Medrano? Yeah, it was hard to understand how they were pronouncing it. But he actually killed her parents.
Yeah.
And then lit their house on fire and left her to die. Which you can see on her back, she is severely scarred from that fire.
Right.
And I kind of like that because I could picture a child seeing like fire around them and they're like in a corner. And they just turn to like hide from the fire. So like their back would be to it. So I kind of liked how without any explanation about the scar ever, my brain could like pick up on that.
Right.
I was like, makes sense. But yeah, so he reveals to her like that's, he knew he was being used by her and she couldn't be trusted, so she was expendable. But then he's like, oh, you want to meet the general? He's on his way here. And he basically gives her to him.
Yeah.
Like, here, you take her, do what you want with her.
The deal.
He even makes sure to tell him who she is.
Yeah.
So that, because he knows telling him will mean he's going to get rid of her.
Right.
And we see later in the movie that this general is not a friendly man when it comes to women. So he would have definitely have used her and then gotten rid of her.
Yeah.
But anyways, so what's funny about this, because Bond doesn't know at the time, she wants to be on that boat.
Yeah.
She's effectively gotten where she's wanted to get to for so long. And Bond thinks he needs to rescue her. So, and let me point something out before I skip to this because it's brilliant. So Bond goes up to the gate guard and hands him a business card, and he said, "That girl that just came in here, tell her to call me." Just goes away. Very suspicious. Like, what? All right. So he gives it to Elvis, which is Dominique's right-hand man.
Yeah.
And of course, what's Elvis do? He tries to call the number on the business card. It gets brought to this voicemail for whatever bullshit company it is. But it really allows Bond to hack his phone so that he can track him. I was like, that's brilliant, dude. That is so brilliant. And we see that used again in the movie later, which made me very happy. Because it's one of those things that, like, okay, we see something cool get introduced, we expect we're going to see it again.
Right.
Like we're going to utilize this thing. So I like that they didn't forget that they did that. So anyways, Dominique's right-hand man has a tracker. Cool. Bond can leave them and go save Camille off the boat with the general, who's riding away into the sunset. So we see Bond jumping across boats and
that's pretty badass.
Gets into a boat and steals one and fucking rams their boat, like just T-bones it. I actually laughed. I laughed really hard at that because it's just not like very suave or like.
No, it wasn't like what James Bond
graceful
should do.
Or I don't know.
It was just
like,
very.
Just boom, motherfucker, I'm here. And I love it because the way the camera's sitting on the boat, this direction style is so awesome. You feel like you're with the boat. The whole boat goes, and everyone falls. And it's just like a disaster, chaos. But Bond jumps in, starts punching people and shit, gets her off. And then, of course, you got the guys following him, shooting at him. We have a cool little boat chase. The other thing I will highlight in this is a boat comes up on the boat that Camille and Bond are in and actually hits her in the head and knocks her out. I shouldn't have, but I laughed.
I did too.
I was like, what? It's so ridiculous.
Yeah, they did the most for that.
But here's the best part, and it's the most Bond thing ever. So he saves her, right?
Yes.
Like, okay, got you away from this general guy. But then he hands her off to a stranger and says she got seasick. So, like, as soon as he knows she's away from danger, he just hands her to somebody, and that's it.
She's your
like,
problem now.
Yeah, done with that. Next. But yeah, so anyways, you know what's funny about that? At first, I wanted to be like, well, obviously she's important to what's going on here. Like, wouldn't you want to talk to her more?
Yeah.
But then I was also like, he's smart enough to know she's going to pop back up again.
Yeah.
He probably wanted her to be out there in the wind.
Yes.
So he can maybe use her later. Yeah. You know? So, I don't know. I thought I had a problem with that, but then I was like, I don't. I really don't. And it was just such a Bond thing to do. Like, I love it. Okay, yeah, so anyways, back on track here. Bond gets I haven't been looking at my notes for a while. Bond rams the boat, Camille knocked out, Bond gets Camille the stranger. Oh yeah. Okay, so Bond calls M and wants to know what they have on Dominique Green. This is where things start to get very interesting because we learn that he is the CEO of Green Planet, which is the company that, you know, he obtains land to preserve it. That's his whole pitch. And we see later at a fundraiser how he can try to convince people to want to offer money to the cause because he makes it sound like he's just this big environmentalist doing the right thing for the world. It's great. But anyways, so they run him through the system and nothing comes up at first. And then when they ask the operator, they get transferred to South American section chief of CIA, Beam. I don't know if we get a name. Greg Beam, I think. Yeah, Greg Beam. Holy shit, I remember that. All right. Greg, yeah, good old Gregory Beam, which is played by David Harbour.
Nice, sweet.
Yes, I'm a big fan of David Harbour. Now, who is sitting next to him when he answers that phone?
Good old Felix.
Felix! We got Jeffrey Wright back. I was like, man, two of my favorite actors sitting side by side in this movie. That's cool. But how interesting, and M picks up on this as well, but how interesting, they're looking into this guy, and the operator needed to transfer her to the American CIA. Like, that's interesting. And of course, Greg Beam, who we learn is very corrupt throughout this movie, he tells them, we have no interest in him, even though he's literally meeting with him in a few minutes. And she picks up on that because what's his face? Because she says, like, oh, he's definitely someone to be interested in. And he's like, well, he said he's not. And she's like, then why did it transfer me to him?
Yeah.
That means they're tracking him.
Yes.
So, and picked up on that shit. And I was very intrigued at the fact that Felix is on the other side of things, apparently, now.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, what's going on here? That's interesting. So, yeah, we learn all that. I gotta look at my notes here. There's so much going on in this movie. How many ones? Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that cuts to the meeting with Beam, Felix, and Dominique.
Yes.
And Elvis. Basically, Green has this ruse that he is brewing up in Bolivia. And he wants the Americans to stay out of it. So he's offering oil in exchange for them turning the other way. And good old corrupt Beam is willing to play ball. And we can tell Felix isn't liking this.
Right.
Now, here's where I got confirmation that Felix is still a good guy. Green also brings up that he has a pest. and he brings
yeah.
up his cell phone, and he has a picture of
Good old
sweet old
Bond.
James Bond. Now, he presents this to Beam, and Beam knew who it was, but he didn't say anything at first. He just leans over to Felix, almost as if he's, like, checking him.
Right.
And he says, you know who this is? And Felix looks at it for a minute, and he's like, no, I don't. And then Beam's like, oh, it's James Bond. I'm surprised you don't know who that is. And he kind of just stares at him as he hands the phone back to Dominique.
Yeah.
And I'm like, ooh.
Yeah, I picked up on that real quick.
All right, we got some tension here. So that told me, for one, that Felix was trying to help Bond by saying, oh, I don't know who that is. And the look on his face when Beam's like, well, I know who it is. He's like, oh, shit, you know who it is.
Yeah.
Damn, like, all right. So, yeah, that was an interesting scene. But Dominique makes it clear he wants Bond taken care of. And Beam says, no problem.
Right.
So now we've got the American CIA who's going to be going after Bond, essentially. So that sucks. Again, thankfully, Felix is still on Bond's side. We see that later in the movie. You know what's interesting about Felix? He's somebody that I want to see in action, and we don't get that, at least right now.
Right.
He's just the guy that sits around or stands around looking snazzy, and he says the right stuff to make things happen. I want to see him do something. So I'm just like, every time I don't know. I'm gonna be binge watching these movies. Like this, like I told you, I was gonna watch them per episode that we were gonna do, but now I'm just gonna binge them all. I don't have to do recaps when we record episodes because this movie got me hooked on the story.
Yeah, no,
that's how well written. Like Casino Royale was good, really good. I enjoyed it a lot, and yes, it was building into this story, but this is giving us so much more into like this world, and again, all the layers of the onion. I just want to start peeling back. Like, I'm ready to dig into it.
Yeah, Casino Royale could have been its own movie, and I would have been satisfied with this movie. You have to watch the next one to figure out who else is involved, what else is happening with this, because they made it such a bigger problem and a bigger situation than what you originally thought it was. You thought it was one dude, white, was the top guy, and that was it. Like,
that's a great way to put it. That
it's just
Casino Royale could have been a one-off.
Yeah.
And I would it leaves an open ending to an extent.
Sure.
But I didn't finish it like, oh man, I gotta watch the next movie.
No.
That's my feeling of this. Like when this movie ended, I was like, I need to get into the next one. Yeah. I'm ready. I need more. There's so many stories being told in the background that have not been resolved. Yeah. I'm just like, I need more.
Luckily, there's
and a very
3 more.
Interesting thing happens at the end of this movie that I can't wait to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Now, it's important to note that we see Bond is still tracking Elvis's phone, which made me so happy. I'm like, yes, thank you. This thing you did earlier in the film, it still happened. Yeah, like it still matters. So this. I'm going to kind of skip some stuff here because this is just the world building. Honestly, a lot of shots, I think, to make the movie more stylized because we see Bond following them to the basically where that opera is happening.
Right.
And the building where everyone's walking around and drinking prior toward, and he goes in and he acquires a tuxedo and blah, 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 blah. That opera meeting was so well done.
Oh my god, yeah.
So I'm going to try to start from the beginning of that. So he follows the contact who gets the earpiece and stuff, and he's going to go like get set up. Bond takes him out, takes his shit, puts the earpiece in. And then he goes to the rafters over the stage. And he's just listening. He's got the earbud in, he's plugged in, and all these different people who are members of Quantum are placed out there, and very inconspicuously having this very important meeting about this operation in Bolivia and making decisions that are going to affect millions of lives. And they're just casually watching the opera. I think that's cool to think about. They're having this meeting out in the middle of, well, not daylight, but like public.
Yeah.
But so discreetly. And I just thought it was cool that Bond was just sitting there listening.
Watching.
And then he lets him know that he's listening. Yeah. I thought that was so cool, dude. I was like...
The way he did it wasn't really cliched. He was just like, can I give you some advice? Or whatever the fuck the line was.
Yeah, because all of them were like, wait a minute.
Like,
that's not one of us. Yeah. God, man.
But I like it because freaking Green was like, oh shit, that's Bond.
Yeah.
And I like how he knew.
Oh yeah,
he didn't. All he had to do was hear his voice, and he's like, "Oh shit! Like we're in trouble."
I gotta streak Abby real quick.
And
live on the podcast.
But it's great because he used that to get the pictures of the people because he knew he only had a certain amount, like 30 seconds left or 2 minutes left or whatever, before Homeboy got up to where he was and saw him and ruined his plan.
Yeah.
So he knew he had to rush what he did to get at least as many of those people up out of their seat and leaving as he could, so he could get a picture of them to send it fucking MI6 or the British Secret Service or whatever.
So well, because they are all getting
perfect.
up like, I'm 2-6.
Yeah.
And he's just like, thank you. Thank you.
So it was perfectly done.
Yeah, and from that, they learned that there's a lot of important people in government that are there.
That was a dude from...
conducting business they should not be conducting by any means.
Dude from Israel, dude from America.
Mm-hmm.
I think China was one.
Yeah, there was that Chinese guy kind of shady.
A lot of very important officials around the world.
But everything about that was just so cool because you're surrounded by all these people that are pretty wealthy and important.
Yes.
And you've got this opera happening live. The music is so powerful. And it really adds to the scene because you feel like anything could happen and not many people would know about it.
Right.
You know, like if a gun shot at an opera where there's guns on stage, is anyone going to think like, oh, we need to run and evacuate? No, and that's what happens.
Yeah, exactly.
So I just think that's really cool. It's very well put together.
Right.
So whoever constructed that whole sequence of events at that setting, well done. I was a big fan. That whole thing just gets a big check mark.
Yeah,
it was so cool. I was waiting for something to happen, and it did. It did. You know, and it wasn't.
But it didn't happen until he wanted it to happen.
That's
so he still had full
control
of the entire situation.
And that's what's great about this, because you feel like these movies are building up to one man, Christoph Waltz, who is pulling the strings. Right? Like there's one guy. It happens to be one of my favorite actors of all time, and I can't wait to get to that freaking movie. But you don't know who it is right now, right? Anytime Bond asks, who do you work for, there's no specific answer. It's just like, who is this ominous figure? Well, there you feel like this is putting Bond on par with this person because you have all these important people from all these different parts of the world. Yeah. And Bond's pulling the strings in their meeting. Right? So that's putting him on this platform above them, and I feel like there's only one other person who's. So I feel like that's how Bond starts to get the attention of this ominous figure who we're gonna later get introduced to. Can't wait. But anyways, all right. It's enough about the opera. Figaro. Still tracking and okay, so. When they're all evacuating and Bond has the fight sequences with the bodyguards and shit, Dominique is getting out of there. He's like, I'm out. Gets to his car. Bond is fighting the bodyguard for... I'm trying to remember who it was.
This is the Britain?
I can't remember. But either way, he's fighting one bodyguard and he's on the roof.
Right.
And he ends up throwing him off of it.
Yes.
And he lands on Dominique's car, which was really cool. It was like a big fuck you from Bond to him. My favorite part about that was Dominique was like, is he one of ours? And the driver's like, no. And he's like, why is he looking at me? Right. And he just gets out and executes him. I was just like, damn. But here's the thing. He was still alive on the hood of that car.
Yeah, he was.
But then Bond gets blamed for killing him.
Yeah.
Even though he didn't technically kill him. So...
Because they said that he shot him and then pushed him off of the roof. And he didn't.
Yeah, because then later when Mathis dies, spoiler alert, he gets framed for killing Mathis, and it's just like, dude, what the hell? But anyways, 'cause I was so invested in this movie, I was actually getting frustrated that Bond's getting blamed for shit. I was like, dude, he's not doing this crap. Like, he just pushed him off the roof. The guy was still alive.
Yeah, naturally.
He was a little busted up. He could have answered questions still. But the best part was when M's getting briefed about what happened.
Right.
She gets informed that there was also a agent.
Yes.
Who worked for Special Branch, and Bond shot him and threw him off a building. So she's just like, can you quit killing people? Because, her perspective of Bond in this movie, he's just out there unhinged killing. Like, he is a killing machine. That's it. And then naturally she thinks it's because his brain is poisoned by his need for vengeance. So
One of it.
And I get why she has these concerns. Like, I'm not saying I don't, but again, I wish the communication between her and Bond was a little better. But whatever. Because in that circumstance, like, okay, Bond doesn't say I didn't kill him because Bond can believe, like, yeah, he probably died. I shot him and threw him off a roof. But it's like, no, he was still alive down there. Dominique's guy killed him. So it's just like,
But again, he was a bodyguard to a very important political figure.
Yeah.
And
then their agent killed him.
Yeah.
So, that's what I mean. It's causing,
really bad.
Because what this is effectively doing is bringing more countries, special agencies into the fold of Get Bond.
Yeah.
So, again, it sounds like I have a gripe with this movie. I don't. Right. I'm just so invested in it that I'm like frustrated for Bond as a fictional character. But in terms of the writing, well done. Like, this is all great shit. This is so good. Yeah. I mean, and we're not even scratching the surface with the levels of writing here.
No, we're not.
That's what's crazy. Anyways. So, M basically cuts Bond off after this. Oh. She's like,
throws his cards.
You're done. And it sucks because he's literally right there with Dominique Green. He can follow him.
Yeah.
And he tries to get a flight that would follow Dominique and gets declined. Yep. There's an issue with his passport. Or his card.
That was his card.
Yeah, his card. So then he's like, all right, someone's going to call, tell them I'm going here, wherever he said. And it's not where he's going, but it's just the because he's realized, like, okay, I'm on my own.
Yeah.
Again. And he's got to just do things by his own means. Did you miss that trash can again?
Both times, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm going to have to get a backboard for that thing. I don't even think I can get it. Oh, okay. Let me try a frisbee. I thought it was going to go in.
I would have left. I would have walked. I walked out.
Well, anyways. So, Bond is on his way somewhere.
Yes.
By boat.
Yes.
And we're just like, I think he's in Italy again.
He is, yep.
And I'm just like, where is he going? And there's like this big gray castle-looking building up on the hill. Did you expect to see Mathis again?
No.
Or to see Bond going to him?
No.
Okay, I'm just making sure that I didn't miss something in Casino Royale. Because I'm like, the last we heard, Mathis betrayed Bond.
Yes.
He was bad.
Yes.
He's the reason Bond's nutsack got obliterated.
Yes.
Okay. And he was also, like, setting people up throughout the movie to show Bond how much power he had. So I was like...
Yeah, no.
I was so confused. So confused at first. But then we get explained. But I was just like, okay, so I guess between Casino Royale and this, there could have been like a 007 point or 1.5 where this story happens where, like, we find out that Mathis really isn't a bad guy.
But when? Because it takes place directly after.
I don't know.
Casino Royale.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, that's still confusing me. But because his lady friend says, like, oh, that's why they bought you this penthouse to make up for their. So I'm thinking there was just miscommunication on his intentions in the first movie.
But how? He betrayed Bond. Like, direct. It wasn't like it was a misunderstanding.
But did he think Bond wasn't what Bond was? And that's why he did that? Because if you think about it, Vesper was dating a guy who we find out was an agent for Quantum.
Right.
So if Mathis is secretly out to get people that work for Quantum,
correct,
he sees Vesper is now with Bond.
He might
have thought Bond. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, was there like just miscommunication? Like, MI6 should have had Mathis well aware of like what Bond was doing, or like,
right?
You know what I mean? Was it like two undercovers crossing paths that shouldn't have crossed paths, and we had the unfortunate scenario
where Bond gets his nuts
one
crushed.
Trying to take the other one out because he feels he's a threat to his mission. Because my understanding in this movie is that Mathis is an agent with a mission just like Bond.
Yeah.
Because when he passes away, Bond says, like, was Mathis just your field name or whatever? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, not a very good one. So it's like, it kind of told me, like, this guy had a whole life and everything that we're not aware of. Like, this was all him as an agent doing his thing.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so, but how... what's getting me is Homeboy had freaking White in his trunk. Yeah. Directly after shooting him in the foot or the leg or whatever, walking up and saying, I'm James Bond, throws him in the trunk and heads over, and that's where this movie picks up. There is no time for Mathis to just call them up and be like, hey, yeah, so you know how, like, I got your nuts crushed? Yeah, I thought you were a double agent, and that's kind of why, so we're good now, right? Like, can I have a penthouse? It doesn't make sense. If they would have started the movie with White in the chair, there's no time difference. There's no way to tell a time difference between the two to make that possible. But because they started it, which I'm not complaining, but because the way they started it, there's no time difference, which means there's no way, unless if while all that was happening was when shit was getting fixed with Mathis.
I don't know. It's one of those things that I thought I had a problem with, but I'm just like, I'm so enamored with this whole, like, you don't know who's on what side.
Right.
Like, Mathis was a good guy. Then it was revealed he was a bad guy. And now he's a good guy when James has been effectively suspended, I guess. Like, what? I was like, well, but I don't know. I'm also just like, maybe Bond wasn't fully aware that Mathis was, like, forgiven by MI6 and they apologized and I don't know. It's confusing.
Yeah, but I could understand that up to the fact until he is the reason why Bond's balls are no longer Bond's balls.
I'm just trying to remember, like, their last conversation in Casino Royale when he comes to visit Bond and then he gets taken away by the MI6 agents.
Yeah.
So, okay. When he gets taken away...
Oh, he was in prison, so I guess...
And he gets brought in. Maybe that's where the communications happened.
Yeah, I guess that could... Okay,
I was just saying,
that's right.
These guys are so fucking good at writing. I can't believe they'd have such a blunder. Yeah. But I guarantee you that's what it is.
No, that I completely forgot about that.
Bond only had his location.
Right.
And that's... Because their conversation definitely insinuates that Bond isn't sure if Mathis will help him.
Correct.
Right? So, that's... Okay. Because we do have his lady friend kind of explain to us why he's in the situation he's in.
Yes.
You know, living in this castle on the hill. But anyways, it was very shocking to me, and I liked that. It was a nice surprise, honestly, because I liked Mathis in the first movie.
Yeah, I did too.
Sorry. And I think it's funny that when Bond is like, did you kill something?
Yeah, I don't really know what it is.
Blister beetle.
That's disgusting. Okay. We're just not going to miss this one.
Yes. But it was very shocking to me that when Bond is basically at rock bottom, like he's been cut off, he goes to Mathis.
Right.
And he doesn't get what he wants out of Mathis, but Mathis can help him in a way just because of his connections. But yeah, he goes to essentially to get a passport and credit card.
But even then, this is me nitpicking, but even then, if somebody causes somebody to take a rope with a bowling ball practically at the end of it and smack me in the dick a million times, I don't care if he is fixed up.
Okay, to be fair, he didn't know that was going to happen to him.
True. But the way I would still see it would be like, okay, this wouldn't have happened at all if you weren't a dick.
Yeah.
Like, I would not be able to work with him.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's showing you how desperate Bond is if he's going to go to this guy.
That's true.
That's it, like, it really sold to me, like, Bond is
desperate
really cut off right now. Yeah. But it also shows that M is kind of right. He is being driven by his vengeance, because any other person on the job, if they're just doing it for the job itself and then their work says no, they're just like, all right, I'm going home. Yeah. I ain't doing this
Not
shit.
Not getting paid.
Oh, no. He's so determined to get to this because he knows it'll lead him eventually to Vesper's boyfriend that he's still going for it. So, yeah, it sold some things to me,
and it really shows that M knows more about Bond than Bond knows about himself.
Correct.
Which shows her intellect.
Yes, correct. So, yeah, overall, I had no problem with it. It just took me a little bit. And I think now, remembering the last time we see Mathis...
Yeah, I forgot about that.
It makes sense to me.
It does.
It makes sense. Because I'm sure they were interrogating him in the way they do.
Yeah, there's no...
and things came out, you know?
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, there's no difference between... There's no time period shown for that. Because the point of him being in the wheelchair and all that to going to White and shooting him in the foot, like, that's just... That could have been a week, 2 weeks, a month, 6 months. Like, we don't really... I mean, we know it wasn't a very long time. It was long enough time for him to be able to physically be able to handle all that afterwards. With the whole pain and all that.
Yeah.
But we don't know for sure how long. So there could have been enough time in between, like you said, that time period with him in prison.
And also, just to kind of be an advocate for the writers and the way they surprise us, I'm glad we didn't get any explanation leading up to this, because it would not have had the same effect on me as the viewer to see, oh, that's who he's going to?
Right.
What? Like, I was so confused. I think I paused the movie the other day when I was first watching it, and I was like, because at that time I couldn't remember the last time we saw Mathis in Casino Royale, and I was like, okay, I must be forgetting something. You know, like, I was so confused, but yeah, I don't think they could have done it any differently.
Correct.
And still had that same effect.
Correct.
So, I don't know. But anyways.
It works.
Again, I was happy about it because I like Mathis, and I like when Bond and him are working together. I like their dynamic.
I do too.
All right, so anyways, Mathis can't help Bond because he says he's out of plastic and he's not in the agency anymore. Like, two important things that would definitely be required. I like how he says plastic first, though. Yep. Like, I don't have the material to make that shit, but I also don't have the power anymore. But he does reveal that, you know, he still has ties and can basically get him to where he's around the people that he needs to be around. So, skipping through... I'm not going to say what's boring scenes, but scenes don't really, nothing that important happens. We see him and Mathis having good conversation. Mathis is trying to be a good friend and figure out why Bond isn't sleeping. Yeah. And he says, like, there's pills for that, basically.
Pills
like
for everything.
Yeah. But it leads to us traveling to where there's going to be a charity event that is being hosted by Dominique Green.
Yes.
And whilst in traveling, we do have to talk about Fields, who's from the continent, and she's been assigned to take Bond back to London.
Right.
Now, I almost skipped over this because when watching the movie, as soon as she was introduced, I was like, yeah, he's going to hit that and move on still. Like, she's going to have no effect on him as a character or on the story whatsoever. And I was 100% right. 100% right. She tries to act all big and bad, like, I am in charge. And he says, like, well, when's the next flight to London? And she says tomorrow. He's like, oh, well, we got plenty of time.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, enough time for you to, like, swoon her and get her
Right.
in bed and continue about your business, which is exactly what happens. Now, he does invite her to the party after they hook up.
Yeah, that's kind of him.
Because after he taps in, Mathis knocks on the door and says, like, I got you an invitation.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, got friends over here? And yeah, so he's got an invitation to this charity event for World Environment. I can't remember what it's called, but it's being sponsored by
Green.
Yeah, the Green Planet. Is that what his company's called? I can't even remember right now. It's something stupid like that. Green. Green. I have so many notes on this freaking movie. Literally just talked about that a second ago. He calls about
Green Planet.
It is Green Planet. Wow, I was kind of being a smartass when I said that. Okay, it's really called Green Planet. Anyways, yeah, so it's a charity event being hosted by Green Planet. Dominique Green's there. He gives a speech. Blah, 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 blah. So yeah, him and Fields are there. I guess I'll say he tries to like learn her real name, and she says just Fields. So it's like, yeah, okay, we're still just business here. And she doesn't really do much else except later in the movie she trips Elvis.
Yeah, that's not very kind to just go out and trip people.
She's just a very fill in the blank character. I'm just gonna say it. It was for Bond to get his dick wet in this movie. That's it. He's a womanizer. Yeah. They put a woman in the movie. That's essentially what her role was. So, but it is what it is. But okay, now talking about the charity event itself. So I like that Mathis is meeting up with his friend, the colonel, I believe, of police.
Yes, it was like the police chief, pretty much.
And that's interesting later when we bring up
Colonel of Police.
Oh yeah, that's him. Yeah, okay, cool. Memory's working great. So yeah, his friend's the Colonel of Police, and he's hanging out with him. Bond and Fields are doing their thing. Now, Dominique gives his speech, and Bond and Fields are out there listening. And then afterwards, he has people coming up to him like, great speech, and blah, 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 and he's spewing his bullshit more. And then there's a guy literally getting ready to offer money for the cause when Camille returns.
Yes.
And in front of him outs what he really does.
Yes.
Which is essentially use people like them to get money in his pocket.
Yes.
And I thought that was really funny. But it's also funny because you could tell he again thought she was probably dead. And she popped back up again.
And she's like a fucking cockroach.
That look on his face. That actor, Mateo Amaleric. Oh, wow, that's an interesting name. Probably mispronouncing it. Either way,
100%.
The actor who plays Dominique Green, he does great with facial expressions.
Yes.
The look in his eyes when she pops up say so many things, but mainly not you again. Yep. So yeah, she starts outing him. He walks away with her and gets her on this rail of the balcony, and she's like, what are you going to do, push me over? And he's like, well, you've been drinking. You might have fallen. Like, basically insinuating, like, if I kill you right here, no one's going to suspect anything.
Right.
Well, he starts pushing her into the rail, and it's starting to break. And in the nick of time comes Bond.
Yes.
And that was an interesting confrontation because nothing physically happens, but you can tell that Bond and Dominique do not like each other.
Yes.
And also Camille is very thankful that Bond showed up to save her this time.
Right.
She wasn't so happy about the first time, but we'll get into that later. So he's walking away with her, and they're going down the steps, and Elvis is trying to follow them,
Mm-hmm.
and here's where Fields makes her impact in the story.
Yep.
She trips Elvis, he falls down the stairs, and his hairpiece comes off, and he apparently breaks his neck. Because he has a neck bracelet in the movie. Which looks ridiculous with his stupid haircut. He's literally got like a bowl cut. So it's like, bowl cut. That's the thing. If you're going to choose a toupee, wouldn't you choose something that looks nice?
You'd think.
But he's just got like straight line, and then the neck brace is black. It's like the same color as his hair.
Oh my god.
So his face just kind of fits in this sandwich of ridiculousness. Anyways. Yeah. Yay, Fields. See you later. We never see you again. All right. So after that...
She's important.
Bond and Camille get to the van or whatever it is they're driving.
Yep.
And as they're driving, the police light up. Yep. And Bond's like, what the hell? Because they're trying to pull him over. And I think he says, like, does Green have power over the police too or something like that? Yeah. So they pull him over and he gets out, which I thought that was interesting.
Him getting out?
Yeah, like he just gets out.
So the colonel did say, my officers are at your disposal.
That's true. I forgot about that.
So
yeah, because they do have that interaction.
Yeah.
And then Bond's like, oh yeah, that could be useful. Or
right.
Whatever. So okay, that's true. So maybe Bond thought if he just talked to him, things would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for pointing that out, because that was a little issue I had. I was like, why would Bond just get out of the car? Now, after wanting to see his papers, the officer says, open up the trunk. And he said, that's weird. Why would you want me to open it? And then he opens it up, and there's Mathis' beaten body. Yeah. At first, I thought he was dead.
I did too.
But he wasn't. Now, I do wonder if Bond thought he was dead, because Bond uses him as a human shield.
He definitely thought he was dead.
And I'm pretty sure that's why Mathis dies.
Yes.
But
so I took that as he either thought he was dead or he was like, this is payback for getting my balls smashed.
Like, it's like he whispers in your like, I always loved you as a brother. You smashed my balls. Yeah, but anyways, so he uses him as a human shield. He takes out the cops.
Yep.
Then really really well done scene of Mathis dying.
Yes.
Because it kind of shows you that, no matter what, no matter if you betray somebody, have their balls smashed, etc. At the end of the day, true love prevails. But seriously, I think they had like a connection similar to M and Bond, like family almost.
Yeah. And
that scene was really well done because, for one, we see Bond doing something he hasn't done since Casino Royale with Vesper in the shower, which is trying to be a decent human being. He's trying to comfort somebody in a situation that's uncomfortable for him.
Right.
In this situation, dying.
Yes.
And for Vesper, it was just shock and trauma.
Yes.
From what she had just witnessed. But, he's comforting him as he's dying, and he's using, again, what he learned in this situation, which I like. I feel like the movies are growing and Bond is growing as a person and a character. So, but it's the dialogue that really hit me, because first Mathis says, can you forgive me?
Mm-hmm.
And then he says something about Vesper, but he's like,
forgive her too.
But you need to forgive her, and you need to forgive yourself too. So basically, the conversation they had earlier, where he's trying to figure out why Bond's not sleeping, he's telling him, I know why you're not sleeping.
Right.
And I know what's motivating you. And I'll be honest, I think that's why the movie ends the way it does, because of that conversation with Mathis. And I'll touch back on that when we get there. But yeah, so very important. And I'm going to miss Mathis as a character.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed him. So Mathis dies. Dude, this got me fucking weak. The next thing we see after this very sincere moment in the street, all sad and shit.
Oh,
He's got fucking Mathis on his shoulder and just launches him
Throws him
into
in
a
a
dumpster. And Camille's like, "Is that what you do with your friends or whatever?" And he's like, he wouldn't care anyways. And then he gets his wallet out and he's like throwing shit. He's like, "Oh, money." He takes his money, throws the wallet in the dump. She's like, "All right, let's get out of here." I was like, "What?" But again, it's a very Bond thing to do. Like,
Yeah.
well, he's expired. Give me your money.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Bond's got nothing.
Here's how I look at it, because I've been watching Band of Brothers.
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of scenes in there where these guys that have been in their company together since boot camp, someone will die, and it's like everyone's all sad and shit.
Yeah.
And then they're gonna pat them down for ammo and resources.
Yeah.
So that's how I look at it. Like Bond's in a war.
Yeah.
And he's gonna pat
needs
down
it.
a dead body
Yeah.
for resources.
priorities.
That's the way he launched him in a dumpster.
That was a little extra, but hey, priorities.
I loved it. I laughed. And then Camille's reaction was just so genuine. Like, is that what you do with your friends? Like, or is that how you treat your friends? Whatever she says. I was like, yeah, that's kind of bad.
That's a fair question.
Anyways, all right. So, wait, what's my note here? Oh yeah, okay. So Bond and Vesper are driving away from this.
Not
And-
Vesper.
Hmm?
Not Vesper.
Sorry, Camille. He wants it to be Vesper. Bond and Camille are driving away from that, and he has a conversation with her where basically he says like he knows what she is or what she used to be.
Yeah.
Because he's like, you know, you're Bavarian CIA or you used to be. Turns out she is retired from the CIA. But she still has motives,
Sure.
just like Bond, that drive her, which is very interesting. They both have motives of vengeance
Yes.
from loss in their personal lives. So that's, for agents, that's very interesting. Whether, I mean, yeah, she's inactive and he's active technically, I guess. Well, I guess technically he's inactive right now, but he's still,
He's froze.
I don't know. It's like he's always active even when he gets, it's so confusing.
That is true. He is never like actually.
Because
not.
there's literally a scene later in this movie where she suspends him, and then 2 minutes later, she tells, what's his face, we need to follow Bond. I trust him. It's like, you just fucking suspended him. Like, what do you mean
Yeah.
you trust him? Like, but I get it's because she doesn't trust the agents around her.
Yeah.
So I get the layers and shit. But sometimes I'm like, do we have to make it this complex?
But I feel like a lot of it is
Like,
her trying to just show
yeah.
Bond, like, hey, I'm in charge.
Well-
I know you're going to still do it, but I need to make a point to these other agents that I'm even willing to suspend you or punish you
Yeah.
if needed.
Yeah. But I also think it's like she knows how he's going to respond to things. So, like,
Yeah.
when they show up to that building and he gets a note from the bellkeep that says
Yeah.
run, she knew that would make him not run.
Right.
So, in the same sense, she knew suspending him would just make him work harder.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of one of those, like, reverse psychology things.
Right.
Because, like you said, she knows him better than he knows
Yeah.
himself. But still, sometimes, especially in a movie like this where there's so many layers and shit, I'm like, do we have to make it this complicated?
Probably not, but
Like, I'm not complaining. It's just like a minor, like, in my head, I'm
Yeah.
still figuring out all these other things. And it's like, you're in this room, which I guess we'll just, because that's where we're getting up to.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Phone chase scene. What?
phone chase.
What am I forgetting? Camille reveals vengeance on. Okay. I put WoW next to it. Oh. Oh, hold on now. No, that's coming up later. Dude, I might have to go to the movie and I can't remember. I put WoW next to this.
It wasn't very wow like, apparently.
Well, so I've got them in the car when he reveals to her he knows blah blah blah. I have that. It says phone chase scene. And then I put Camille reveals vengeance on General Moderino.
Oh,
What happens before that? What am I forgetting? Dude, I'm about to have to like.
He was,
actually
like,
go.
following somebody, I think. Wasn't he? Phone chase. Who would have he been following?
I don't know how I forgot something in this movie. I'm gonna have to edit this all out. That makes me so mad at myself. I have Prime. What are we doing here? It's really annoying.
Oh.
Did I do it at Yahoo? Fuck.
I think he sent it to us.
I was going to. I might have changed it when I upgraded to Prime so Abby'd be able to get into it. This is annoying. I wish I could just remember what the fuck scene this is. Okay, I got it. Prime Video.
Oh.
Is it in my recentlies or anything like that? Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Oh, I nut to him.
You're only gonna make me search this shit.
Yeah, I bought the 5-movie pack.
Oh, you did?
Yep.
Nice.
It was like $27 after tax.
That's not bad at all.
No, at all.
Bum, 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 bum. Dun, 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 dun. All right, let's see what my dumbass forgot about. Oh, it's not phone; it's plane.
Oh. Oh, yeah. Because they have to jump out of the plane.
How could I forget about that?
Skydive into the hole. In the
Okay.
ground.
Check my phone real quick before we get back into this. Oh, that was Amazon telling me that I signed in. You don't say. Okay, so it wasn't phone chase, it's plane chase. That's my chicken scratch writing. Okay, yeah, the plane chase is phenomenal.
Yeah, no, that was really
So,
cool.
just to get into it, they go to this guy in the middle of the desert who has a giant fucking plane. I don't even know what it is.
Is that Boeing 747?
Is it?
No, I have no idea.
I was gonna say it doesn't look like one.
I have no idea.
But all right. Well, anyways, Bond trades the car for the plane.
Yep.
Like, yeah, you'll get a lot more money for this than you would the plane, and then he gets the plane.
That's true.
Now, they're flying, which I gotta say right now, this is the best plane scene in a Bond movie to date.
Yeah.
And like, I've seen pretty much every Bond movie at one point or another, but like the Pierce Brosnans that we've covered,
Yeah.
they were all so and so. Some of them were terrible. Some of them were just like okay, but there's always very obvious green screen. There is never once obvious green screen to me in this movie,
No.
and I really expected it with this plane shit, especially when we get into like the fighter pilot crap that's going on.
Yeah.
But basically, they're flying over the desert, which is the land that Dominique Green is wanting to buy off of General.
Zod.
Yeah, General Zod.
Zod.
Durano, or whatever his name is. Medrano. Madrino.
Yep, that's right.
Medrano. I don't know. But anyways, it's the land he's wanting to purchase from the Bulgarian general. And he's asking, like, what are those? Because there's giant holes in the ground.
Yeah.
And Camille tells Bond that they're sinkholes. Mm-hmm. He's like, oh, interesting. Well, as they're observing, all of a sudden, they get sprayed through the roof of the plane. Mm-hmm. Nice surprise again. Wasn't expecting that. And there's literally like a fighter pilot. And that was very intense.
It was.
Like, from beginning to end, because the way they exited the plane was crazy to me too. But that guy was so on their ass. And I like that Camille leaves the passenger seat and like goes to the back of the plane. She's like looking out the window. She's like, I think we lost him. And then she goes to the other side and she's like, oh God, he's on us. And starts shooting again. And like Bond gets real low to the ground and you're like, oh my God, he's got a fucking wreck. And then like basically draws the guy in to where he starts dropping on him and it pushes him lower than he wants to go. So the pilot veers off and just freaking crashes, like explodes. I was like, wow. And it almost made Bond, like Bond's actually freaking out in the plane. Like he's yelling and like, he's like, oh, come on, like freaking out. We haven't seen Bond like this yet. Like,
no, he lost
you actually
all
feel
his
like
bearing.
He might die.
Yeah.
You know, like it's like, holy crap. And then when you think the coast is clear, there's a freaking attack helicopter. Yeah. It's like, what the fuck? And that's what gets him because it hits the engine on the wing. Yeah. And he's just trying to gain altitude and he's like straight up, like vertical. Yeah. And he's like, come on, no. And it just like putters out. And this was so fucking cool because Camille's already like way back there with all the cargo in the plane. He fucking gets out of his seat, falls down, grabs her, and in this sequence of events, she has put on a parachute.
Yeah.
Bond hasn't though. He grabs her and just jumps out of the fucking plane. I was like, what? Because the crazy thing was, he was just trying to get her out. He didn't care about his well-being at first.
Yeah.
He's totally free-falling, no parachute. And the way they filmed that, like you see her and him, and he's just like got his white shirt. Like, no, I was like, oh my God, dude. I was thinking, like,
he sent it.
And he kind of manages to, like, get over to her, and he's like, grab onto me. And, like, then they use her parachute. Right. But it barely slows him down, dude. He punches the bottom of that fucking sinkhole. Like, it's intense. But the way that was all filmed was so believable. It looked like it actually happened. I almost felt like they had Christopher Nolan come in.
Right.
And then he, like, took all the VFX artists and just threw them out. No! Practical only.
It's very James Bond of them.
Yeah, dude. I mean, because it felt like the beginning of The Dark Knight Rises, the main scene. Like, the way they really filmed all that shit. God. Yeah, it was so cool. I can't believe I forgot about that. There's just too much going on in this movie. But yeah, so they end up in this underground cave system. It's at the bottom of the sinkhole. And that's where Camille reveals to Bond. And again, another personal moment with Bond. He sees that she's cold. He puts his blazer on her. Yep. So he's becoming a person. He's learning how to be a person.
A little less robot.
Yeah. But she reveals to him she wanted to be on that boat.
Right.
And he's like, I'm sorry, you know.
I love that he just fucked that up for her. Like, completely fucked that up for her.
He was Bond saving the damsel in distress.
Yes, he was.
That's all he saw. But, yeah, he realizes she wanted to be on there. Her whole life had led up to that moment, and he took it from her. So, that was kind of awkward. But then he kind of informs her that she's helping him on a similar mission.
Yeah.
And, you know, that they can still get the general.
And they do.
Now, what was really cool is we learn why Dominique is so interested in this desert. And it's because there is an underground plethora of fresh water.
Yeah.
And he is controlling it by building a dam system to where any civilization that would need that water is not getting it, and it is going to cause a drought. And, you know, if you look at history, anyone who comes to power over people by a nature of force, they usually have to control something like that. You know, if you are controlling the water for a civilization, everything. You have all the power. So it's just kind of showing how this guy works.
Yes.
Because when once the Bible laid off the general or in the movie, he's like, "There's no oil there. People, been digging for years."
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, "Well, not me." Like he just kind of makes him think that he's like an idiot, but it's like, no, he knew the whole time what was under that desert. He knew what he was doing.
And it's pretty cool to see, like, because when I first watched that, and he mentioned that people's dug there forever, and a miss. God, you're shooting like I do. I was still thinking like, all right, I knew it wasn't oil, but I was like, I bet there's something to do with that specific part. I wasn't thinking water or anything like that, but I was like, there's something there that's viable.
Yeah, I was
to
almost wondering if there
everything.
was like an old base, like a military base
Right.
or something that he gained knowledge about.
Yes.
I don't know.
Thinking it was like treasures or something.
Yeah, or even technology,
Yep.
like some kind of German technology, or I was very curious to see where they went with it because I couldn't remember, honestly. It's crazy I couldn't remember this movie because it's so good, and I think very integral to the rest of the movies. Like it's setting up so much. But yeah, so trying to remember. So there, Bond realizes Dominique wants to land for the water. Oh yeah. So this is where Bond and Camille get out of that. We see them walking through the village that's desperate for water, and they're realizing like this is what Dominique wants, and they go back to their room, and that's where the bellkeep comes up and says like, "Hey, your wife or mom, somebody, I think he says wife, was here and left a note for you." And he opens it up and it just says "run," and he's like, and he tells Camille to stay down there, goes up to check the room, and of course when he opens the door, there's M and a bunch of MI6 agents, and he's immediately mad at her because she basically cut him off, so he's been doing things his own way, and then she's going to intrude on what he's doing.
Right.
And not only that, she's got a bunch of MI6 agents, and one of the first things he says, and I love this because it's where my mind was at, was, can we trust these guys? Because, like we've already seen earlier, your own bodyguard that you've had for 5 or 6 years, passed every polygraph, wanted to kill you.
Right.
And you're going to bring these guys in on what I'm doing that you didn't want a part of.
Right.
So he's mad at her.
Yeah. Rightfully so.
But then she makes him realize that there's repercussions for the things he's doing that he is not taking notice to, and just looks in the bedroom, and there's Fields laying on the bed completely covered in oil. And not only that, her body is covered in oil, inside and like it. They made her consume. It looks like she drowned in an oil pit, basically. And he says, "Well, that was definitely green." And she's like, "Well, it doesn't matter because you shouldn't have been blah 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 blah," And so she's just mad at him for the death that he is still causing, even though she cut off his card.
Right.
So now she officially suspends him and has him detained by MI6 agents, and they get bodies off or get weapons off his body and everything, and then they're escorting him out. They get in the elevator, and he goes full Captain America on their ass in the elevator, and it's beautiful. I love it because they show a little bit of the fight scene, but when the elevator stops, he gets out and he's just adjusting his tie. Like, yeah, I just did work. Like, always Bond. But then, this is what kills me, because this isn't like more than 2 minutes later, if that. It shows M leaving. She's walking, and then Bond's like tiptoeing around the outside of the rail on that level of the floor, and he jumps over it and he starts talking to her again. She's just like, "Oh," and he tells her like, basically, there's more going on here than you realize, and I need to do this. And then like he fights more MI6 guys and leaves, and she tells what's his name, Tanner,
Bill Tanner,
the guy that works for MI6. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Tanner. She tells him like, we need to follow him because I trust him. I think he's on to something.
Yeah.
And that's where I was just like, good lord, dude! Like you just suspended his ass. But again, I think that was for the agents. Because now that I'm thinking about it, when he says, "Do we trust these guys?" she probably realized, like, no, I probably trust you more than I trust
Yeah.
them. You know, like, so I think that's why she did all that.
But
Just
with
so they,
everything not making sense, I could also see it
To where like she knew they were kind of reading each other's minds, and she was like, "We're gonna make it seem like this to the public, but in all reality, like you're squared away. You're good.
Yeah.
I know you got this."
Yeah.
And I feel like she's very confused on what to do as well with him in this moment because, I mean, like we said, fucking Mitchell betrayed her, and he was her top guy, like bodyguard for 5-6 years. So it's a lot of shit that she's also got to process and try to figure out as well as Bond.
Well, I think she's also recognized that there is a power at work beyond her understanding or anything she could even like
Right.
investigate. Like she doesn't know what's going on. You know, she's had a bodyguard try to kill her. She feels like her whole organization isn't what she thought it was. So maybe she thinks by suspending Bond officially, it makes it look like she's playing ball with this power at beat.
Yeah.
And then she knows Bond will clear these agents and still do his thing. So
Yes.
it could all just be M doing what she has to do to survive, but also knowing that Bond will still do what she wants him to do
Exactly.
at the core of it. But still, again, just as a viewer, I was just like, God, man, I'm going through mental Olympics over
Right.
here. Bond's suspended. He's not suspended. He's suspended. God. Anyways, but yeah, so he gets out of there. Now, this is where things get good because Bond, who is now officially suspended of all duties, he's on the run from all these different agencies, including his own now. There's literally a capture, alive, or kill order from the American CIA on Bond. He calls Felix.
Yep.
And I love this scene because he's sitting there next to, what's his name? Can't remember the names right now. Beam. Right.
Sounds right. Beam.
Where is he?
Beam.
How's he not one of the top listed actors on here, dude?
Greg Beam.
Beam.
He's right under Fields. Next to Felix.
Oh yeah, thank you. Jeez, dude. God, I'm forgetting names right now. It's killing me. To be fair though, he hasn't been that important in the story right
No,
now.
he hasn't.
Yeah, but he's sitting next to Beam, who we know is the corrupt
CIA official.
CIA head for South America. So he gets this call from Bond, and Bond's basically insinuating that he wants to meet with him. And Felix does try to get him to come to him, and he's like, I think you should come down to town or walk around town or whatever.
Yeah.
So like basically saying like, I'm not coming where you're at. So they meet, and Felix isn't playing ball the way Bond would think he would. And even I was kind of confused. I was like, wait, has Felix turned officially? Is he bad now? But then Bond picks up on like, they're here. You're not alone. How much time they got? And he's like, 30 seconds. He's like, oh, that's not a lot of time. And he does get Felix to tell him that there is a meeting going on in the desert. Because Felix says, like, I will tell you nothing's going to move until the transactions have happened. There's a meeting in the desert where that's supposed to happen. Yeah. So he does get that out of Felix, and it also confirms for us, like, okay, Felix is just trying to survive like M in the position he's in because he understands he's working under corruption to levels of which he can't understand. So Felix still a good guy. Yes. And then Bond has to get the fuck out of there because units, like
they
fucking SWAT units come in, dude. Like, they got riot armor on. Which I love that because it just tells you how much of a problem Bond is. Like, they know that one man requires all these units to be covered in gear, like armor.
Yes. Like, they're going to war with him.
One man.
You know, it's like your problem. The CIA is putting a hit out on you. Like, you are a big problem.
All right, now the rest of this movie I can talk about pretty fluidly because him and Camille. Oh, basically, all right. So we see this really cool but inconspicuous building in the desert. The design's very cool because you can tell, like, from the sky, it would just be this very slim, narrow building that wouldn't look like anything important.
Right.
But it's got, I think, 4 stories, and it's got a lot of glass, a lot of windows, and it looks like it's just kind of meant to be like hidden. Yeah, essentially, like, it looks like it was built to be hidden.
Right.
It was meant to have things happen there that people don't know about. So, oh, it's pretty cool. So we see the meeting with the general and Dominique, where the general officially signs over the land to him. And while that's happening, we have Bond and Camille hiding out in the desert, looking at the building. And basically, Bond's telling her, like, make sure you kill the general. Like, you know, do what you need to do, get this over with. So this was honestly so cool because we see her walking the top of the building, and she drops down and sneaks in very spy-like.
She can possible that shit.
Yeah, and then she's hiding in the hallway, and she sees the general being escorted to his room, where this girl that was trying to bring him food and drink during the meeting, he told her, just take it to my suite. And turns out she was being held there for him because he's an awful person. So next thing we see is he is essentially about to rape her, is what it's insinuating. And he's very rough with her. He's just a piece of shit. And it's like, cool, we know Camille's going to come in and save the day, which she does. Yeah. Now, what I was trying to figure out is how is she going to be able to do this without alerting the whole fucking building? Because I'm like, there's going to be a scuffle. This is a big dude, and there's going to be a fight. And there was. But it was almost like planned because before she makes her attack, Bond fucking just comes in and starts shooting motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Like, just, he makes his presence very loud in there. Like, I'm here, I'm killing people. He literally, like, I think he jumps out of a car that, like, runs into the whatever explodes and causes the building to start, like, blowing up piece by piece. But, yeah, he makes it very apparent. Like, Bond is here, so it gets the whole building's attention to the lower level, and she's on the upper level with the general. So it allows her and him to have this 1v1.
Massive.
Yeah. And she does come out on top, but she's trapped and surrounded by fire.
Which plays... It's as bad as it is to say, like, it is so... What's the word? Like, it's just full circle pretty much for her. Yeah. And, you know, last time she was surrounded by fire, he was the one doing the killing. And she was left there to die, and she was a child. She now killed him, but she's still surrounded by the fire.
Yeah.
And, you know, James has to deal with doing what he's got to do, but he's also having to save her.
Yeah, it put her back basically where she left off with this general the last time she...
20 years ago or whatever it was.
Yeah, was in a situation like this with him because, yeah, he's dead, but now she's surrounded by fire and she can't escape. Yeah. Now, simultaneously, while she's having her battle, Bond is
fighting Green,
running above Green, who's trying to escape by himself because Bond's taking out everybody very effectively. Bond jumps down through the glass ceiling, really badass. But I like that Green was one step ahead of him. So Green's like hiding behind where Bond lands, and he whacks him in the head. And then he has this fucking axe from the, firebox, and he's trying to fucking kill Bond. Like, he is trying to kill him. Yeah. Very apparent. The choreography there was really cool. Really well done.
And showed that, like...
Very believable.
Yeah, he's the CEO, but he's also not afraid to, like, try to kill somebody with his own hands if needed.
His full psycho comes out in that scene. So him and Bond, even though Bond's leagues above him in hand-to-hand combat, they have a very good fight scene.
Yes.
Because he has kind of the upper hand in weaponry.
Yeah. That he hit Bond in the head, which definitely gave him a concussion.
Yeah, that's what I mean. He had the step ahead, and then he has the weapon that is terrifying. Yes. So,
but I really like that.
And he snaps. Like, he is just
he goes
swinging for the fence.
Yeah.
Like, he is just trying to
But I like how it shows that even though he's going crazy, he has no control over what he's doing. And Bond uses that to his advantage. He realizes it. He uses it to advantage, and Dominic ends up with an axe in his foot.
Yeah.
Through his foot.
Yeah.
And at that point, Bond is able to. He does what he needs to do, and then he ends up holding Dominic up by his hair. After he falls over the ledge, I forget how that happened.
So he throws him over the ledge, or no, sorry, the platform
Structure,
or floor, whatever they're saying,
like,
it actually falls like it drops.
That's right.
Because
Yeah,
the building's exploding.
that's right.
And Bond saves him.
Yes.
He could let go of him. He saves him, which Dominique's face is like shocked, honestly. And then he goes and saves Camille.
But that's the thing is, even with him holding him there, like, you could tell he's conflicted on, like, just killing him
Oh, yeah.
or to save him. And I feel like all the talks that M had with him played a very big part in him saving him.
Yeah, that I also think he
Like-
realizes that this right now is his best chance at moving forward and finding Vesper's boyfriend.
Yes.
So, because he knows this guy is a top dog in
Yeah.
the quantum organization, and that if he's gonna find Vesper's boyfriend, he probably needs him alive.
Yes.
Now,
Just the thought of him, like, pulling him up by his hair, though.
I
Like,
know.
and the amount of strength that takes for Bond, like, you couldn't do that. There's no way you're lifting a grown man up by his hair. Like, the dude didn't have, like, long ass hair to the middle of his back where you can get a big old handful of hair and do that.
Yeah.
His hair was about where it's at in that picture, if not a little shorter.
Yeah, it's a little on the fantastical side, but if this guy's like, because he's short, so if he's like 5'6", and
Oh,
weighs
that's true. He is-
120 pounds, like I can pick up 120 pounds with one arm.
Yeah, that's true.
So I'm like,
But it really showed,
it
like,
wasn't that far of a stretch, but it does show you that like Bond's a strong.
yeah, he do shredded. But then he saves him, and
Well, he realizes Camille
yeah.
is still in the building.
Well, Dominic brought it. He said something about, like, you can't save her, or she's already dead, or
Yeah.
some shit like
Yeah.
that.
So he has to go, and
And
I'm sure he probably thought Dominique wasn't going to get away because of his foot, which that was accurate.
Yeah.
But I love the scene with him and Camille, because they're almost insinuating that they're not going to escape. Like, so he's able to get to her, but then they're trapped because the explosion happens. They're literally surrounded by fire, except for the little wall that they're up against.
right,
And Bond gets his gun out, and she's saying, like, I'm ready and whatever. Because I think she thinks that he's going to kill her and kill himself.
right.
Like,
Murder
Instead of-
suicide.
dying by fire.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this is dark.
No,
Damn.
it got dark quick.
And then he's like, are you ready? And she's like, yeah. And then he, like, shoots the fucking tank and blows the wall out in the room, which that was risky.
Yeah,
I guess in that situation, you know.
you're either going to die by the fire, or you're going to
Yeah.
die getting exploded on.
But I love that they come to the
Or
opening in the
lit.
room and you see bitch ass Dominique like crawling away on the desert all by himself. I was like, oh my god, this is perfect, dude. Now the movie skips ahead a little bit, which I don't mind at all, because at this point you've told me so much with this very thick ass story. My brain can easily pick up on something you don't give me.
Yeah.
So we cut to Bond's driving the car in the desert, and he gets out. He has Dominique in it, and Dominique says something along the lines of like, "I gave you everything I knew about quantum, blah blah blah. Like, don't kill me." And Bond, like, basically just wanting to leave him in the desert, because he's like, you're gonna die out here. He says you're however many miles
20
away.
miles.
Yeah,
He said, I'll give you 20 miles before you take a drink of this or something.
yeah, and then he leaves him with a can of his company's oil.
Yeah.
So that's funny. So yeah, he basically leaves him to either dehydrate or drink oil and die from that.
Which was great, because it definitely was like, you did that to Fields, so here's your...
Yeah.
You know.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's very symbolic. Because he's also dehydrating people that he's
Yes.
withholding water from.
Right.
So, yeah, a lot of symbolism in that. Beautiful way to
beautiful. Yep.
say fuck you to the antagonist in this movie. But we also get from him he's told Bond things.
Yes.
So when we cut to Bond going to the sweet motherland, Russia,
Mom?
and he's waiting in Vesper's boyfriend's apartment, it all makes sense. I'm like, hey, he found that out through Dominique.
When Dominic talked about like, I told you about this, I was spazzing. I was like, did I fucking miss something here? Like, so I went on YouTube. I rewinded like 3 times. I was like, where is the malfunction with this?
That's it. I was like, I appreciate this. Like, they trust that we're smart enough that we can just pick up on the fact that Bond went out in the desert, got his ass in a car, told Camille, I'm going to go handle this.
Yeah.
And while they were driving, he got information out of it.
No, it took me a little bit before I realized that.
So,
I'm a genius.
At this point, I was like, yeah, we don't need to see all that.
No, and we didn't.
Dominique's done. We know Bond's going to get what he needs out of him.
Yes.
Now, this is where I think Mathis' dialogue, when he was dying, is so important. Because Bond knows the reason Vesper had to essentially kill herself and do the things she did was because her boyfriend, who she initially thought she needed to save, had set her up because he works for Quantum. So Bond wants this fucker dead.
Yeah.
Needless to say. And he is now in his apartment, and we just think Bond's working alone, right? Like, he's still the suspended agent. He's found the boyfriend. He's going to off him. He comes in with this woman who is an agent of Canada, I believe.
Canadian.
Yeah. And he tells her the piece of shit she's with. Yeah. And he lets her go.
Not before telling her that you have a leak. Check your seals.
Yeah, but...
Which was cool.
But he lets her go, and I'm like, okay, he's going to kill this fucker. No. He comes walking out, and there's MI6 agents there to come pick him up.
Yep.
And I was like, oh, he's working with... All right, cool. And this is what kills me is like, M's like shocked he didn't kill him. But she's like, okay, cool, Bond's finally not just killing people ruthlessly. But I'm sitting there as the viewer like, he wasn't just killing people ruthlessly. Like, he had, you know, it's like, whatever. But then she says, I need you back.
Yeah.
And he's like, I was never gone.
Right.
And he throws the necklace that Vesper wore on the ground. And that's the last thing we see. Very artistic ending that I appreciated.
Yes.
Her necklace laying in the cold snow.
Mm-hmm.
But cool symbolism because Bond's moving on. He's leaving Vesper there with everything else. The boyfriend who betrayed her and that drove his motivations throughout this entire film.
Yes.
So it's like we are closing this chapter of Bond's life while all these other chapters that are starting to develop continue. Correct. And that's why I cannot wait for the next movie because he's also informed by M that Green was found dead with two bullets in that. Yeah, like so.
That was a very interesting scene.
He did have oil in his stomach.
Yes, he drank it.
But I think
by choice or by force.
I think our ominous figurehead behind things wanted him dead for his failure.
Yeah, no, it definitely was played
so good.
on.
So good, dude.
And it's really cool because I love it. But it was really great because it almost was like, is she questioning that Bond did it for a split second before realizing like it wasn't him? And
yeah, because she says, "You know anything about that?"
Right.
Like, no.
Or
I think she believed him there.
And I did too. And I think that is why she said, you know, "I'm glad to have you back," or whatever the line was exactly. But it was definitely a very interesting, and it wouldn't have been brought up if it wasn't important to the rest of the movies. And
no.
So I'm very excited to see. Because I haven't seen any of the others. I haven't seen this one. I haven't seen the first one, not fully until now. So I'm very excited to see where they go with that in the third movie.
Now, my most favorite thing that could have happened that she says. Felix got promoted. Replaced Beam.
Mm-hmm.
Felix is in charge now.
Our sweet Jim.
And I'm like, dude, I can't wait to see in the next movie how the CIA's role in helping
Yeah.
MI6 changes
Yes.
because Felix is in charge now.
Yes.
Now, Beam is still in the CIA. He's just been demoted.
Yes.
So that's a very interesting development
It is.
because it makes me wonder why that happened.
How?
Did Felix find a way to like kind of slide into the right doorway? Like, hey,
Yeah.
this guy's corrupt as fuck, you know? Or was it somebody else that said, hey? Is it a chess piece that the powers that be at Quantum moved
It is.
because they like Felix and they're using him? Like,
See, that is
have
what
so
I
many
believe.
questions.
I don't see Felix taking over Beam's spot and Beam not getting arrested or anything other than a simple little demotion happening without Felix dying, if he were the reason why it happened.
Yep.
I could believe Beam orchestrated that because he knows from the very beginning when he asked him if he knew who Bond was and he said no, and that look he gave him, he knows Felix is not on board.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that is a very big detail that is very overlooked for the rest of the movies versus how I'm taking it, where it was like, that isn't just for this scene and for this movie.
Yeah.
It's bigger picture. And with him getting the demotion, I can definitely see Quantum, the people up top in Quantum, making that happen. And for him to take the fall for something or to kill him or, something like that.
Yeah. Well, I gotta say, much like Casino Royale, when we finished it, I skipped ahead and just looked at the casting for this to see who was in it. I'm not gonna do that this time around, but I have a lot of people I'm excited to see where their story goes now.
Mm-hmm.
Because before, it was just Daniel Craig, Felix,
White.
and White.
Mathis.
With Mathis, I was kind of like, he's gone. Like, he's going to be imprisoned. I did not expect him to be anything significant in this movie.
Well, that's what I was excited to see was like, is something major going to happen to where he ends out of prison? And if so, how?
Yeah, see, I wasn't thinking like that because the movie, the way it ended, I was like, all right, they know he's a corrupt piece of shit. He's gone. But this movie, we don't have anyone getting locked up right now.
Right.
So we got Bond and Camille, who have a developing love interest probably.
Yes.
And they're definitely going to bump into each other again.
It's get a little touchy.
M is definitely softening up the Bond. She literally ends the movie
100%.
saying, I need you. We've got Felix, who's now in charge of the South American division of CIA. We have Beam, who we know is corrupt and very entangled in the Quantum organization's doings. Being demoted, so he's gonna have extra motive now to do some shit.
Mm-hmm.
We still have
White, it's still alive, ain't he?
Isn't the Colonel of Police still alive?
I think so.
I'm
I don't
sure-
know.
I'm pretty sure he's still alive.
I don't remember seeing him die.
I don't either. But yeah, so we have a lot of players that are out in the world, still alive. Now, here's what's going to be interesting to me. I could see Camille having a villain turn,
Yes, same.
which would be very interesting. But we'll see. I can't remember. I can't lie. I can't remember these movies.
I have no idea. I haven't
All I
seen
know
any.
is that Christoph Waltz eventually comes in and he is the big bad, and he's one of my favorite actors.
Here
It makes
for
me
it.
very excited. He's like the great, like yin and yang
Yeah.
scenario of Daniel Craig,
Okay.
like being the opposite of him.
Yeah.
I remember when they casted that and I saw a trailer. I was like, holy shit, dude. It's funny because up until this movie, like, he's in Django Unchained, but I've always been like, oh, he's the guy that plays the Jew hunter in Glorious Bastards.
Yeah.
You know, like, that character is just iconic.
Yeah.
But now, he is the best Bond villain, in my opinion.
Oh, wow.
So I can't wait to revisit those films with him. Because he's in two.
Oh,
He's in 2 films as the villain.
damn.
So I'm very, very excited for that. Now, I do believe the next one is the one that has Javier Bardem.
The next one should be Spectre? Or Spectre, the new one? No, it's
I
Skyfall.
think it's Skyfall. 2012, yeah, it's Skyfall. Let's see what we got down here. Yep, Javier Bardem.
yeah.
Dude, that's the one I was telling you about where his jaw comes out.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
a prosthetic. Dude, this one's good. Oh, yeah, I'm watching this. Dude, I'm binging these. I don't care. I'll have to do recaps for the episodes. I am binging the fuck out of these.
It's like a nice Corolla.
I remember this. Oh, I remember this.
What the fuck?
Oh, dude, no. This movie gets wild. All right, I'm here. I'm gonna look at the cast.
Yeah, let's see who we all got. We got Q.
We have a Q.
We do.
Oh, yeah.
Ben Whishaw.
I knew they brought Q in at some point. I thought it was later though. I don't see a Camille.
There's not yet, at
Interesting.
least.
So if she's in it, she's not credited, or she's got a very brief cameo.
Wow.
We know we're gonna see her again.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. It's crazy that these movies go from 2006 to 2021.
It is.
What a legendary Bond.
God, he looks. He's aged a little bit.
Yeah. Dude, seriously, I'm so excited we're doing these. He is just such a good Bond.
He is.
Well, all right, well. Yeah, I gotta say, overall, I love this movie. I mean, I gave it a hole in one, and it makes me want to knock my rating for Casino Royale down by 1, which I can't do, I guess, but
Good. It's our podcast.
I want it on the record that I would give it
Discuss.
I would give it an eagle now.
Yeah.
It is a very good movie. It is a great entry into this world, and it's a great redemption arc for the director versus his GoldenEye entry.
Absolutely.
But-
GoldenEye was trash.
This movie is just so well done.
I think.
So well done. For those of you who watched our episode on Casino Royale, and I'm sure as you noticed in the artwork for the episode as well, Grant was supposed to be doing these episodes with us. Unfortunately, he's had some things come up with his schedule, and he will not be able to do these with us anymore. So, although his input on the first episode was great, we really enjoyed having him, he will not be on the episodes going further. So, it sucks, because he is a big fan of the Daniel Craig Bond movies, and I was looking forward to hearing his insight on it, but life happens. So, that's why you guys aren't seeing him. But yeah, we got a new intro that we've made, so you guys can let us know about that. And we do have merch coming. We've been working on merch. We'll be sharing the information on that probably in the next episode. Should have it all established by the time we post that. So, yeah, lots of cool things in the works. And hopefully you guys are enjoying our newer, more polished episodes now. We're finally settling down as a podcast and finding our groove, so that's cool.
Only took a little bit.
Yeah, just a little bit. But I'm really excited to do the rest of these Bond movies. I'm going to be sad when they're done.
Yeah.
Are there 5 of them total?
Yes.
Okay. So we got 3 more to go. It's going to be sad. And then after this, we're going to do Mission Impossible movies. It's going to be hard to move on from these.
I'm just gonna say they should have stopped after like the second or third one. Mission
Impossible?
Yeah. I love the characters. I love the movies, but
You know, it's funny because I did agree with you. Ghost Protocol kind of changed things for me.
like I said, they're great movies. I don't think they're bad movies at all.
Well-
I feel like it's the same thing.
They stepped up the production. And I mean, now,
Yeah.
you know, we got him riding off of a mountain
Yeah.
on a dirt bike. But Ghost Protocol, like, my dad and I remember when we watched that movie, that scene where he's in Dubai on the side of that big glass building.
Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
and you got the scene where he's in the hallway and he green screen reflects
Yeah.
the hallway back. Like, dude,
So cool.
They just stepped the movie.
Dude,
up,
it was
man. And
excellent.
they were honestly on par with these Bond movies in terms of like action, the way they're filmed, and a big part of that's Tom Cruise.
No, it is.
He was like, "Hey, let's step this shit up. Let's make these something like
he gets
let's
shit
make it a
done
spectacle."
in his movies.
And he's like, "Hey, I'll be the stunt guy. Fire that guy. I'll do it."
See, that's the issue though. Is like I'm so scared that it's going to end up like Fast and Furious franchise.
Yeah,
I don't want
did
them
say
to
that
run out
he
of
would
ideas.
play Ethan Hunt until he passed away.
Exactly.
And
See,
I'm just
that's
like,
a problem.
We don't need to see a 80
Exactly.
something man
like I want it. I love the movies. I love all the movies. I just need it to stop at a peak versus risking us falling into a Ethan Hunt in space or going to Mars or some random dumb shit that doesn't make sense to the original Mission Impossible. So, but I'm excited for those.
It's gonna happen though.
Yeah, I know.
It's what's gonna happen.
It's gonna really
and that's what I like
me.
about the Bond movies is it's like everyone is cognizant of the fact that you're gonna overstay your welcome at some point.
Yeah.
Like Daniel Craig, even by people who grew up with the older Bonds, like my dad, Daniel Craig is considered the best James Bond of all time.
Yeah.
Okay. But even him, it's like, okay, there's a point where you're gonna get a little too old.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a point where we just need to do a reboot again. And they've done that since the beginning of Bond. Yeah. There was one James Bond who had one movie, and that was it because it sucked, and they acknowledged that. So that's what they're very cognizant of the fact that like it's something that is short lived.
Right.
You got to do what you can while you have it. It's like having lightning in a bottle; it doesn't last forever. And for some reason, with the Fast and Furious movies and with Mission Impossible, it's just like it never ends.
Yeah,
it's like we don't know how to stop. Favorite example of that right now is we had the new Fast and Furious movie come out this year, which is supposed to be a part 1 of 2, right?
Yeah.
And then what's Vin Diesel announced after the movie premieres? Well, now it's part 1 out of 3. Huh. What?
Yes, there'll always be family.
And then after part 3, he's gonna say, "Well, those 3 were actually the part 1 of 3 parts of 3 parts."
Yeah.
Oh, so we're getting 6 more movies. Yeah. Correct.
See, that's the thing is like, it's
like,
over. Let it die.
It just can't.
It's making the franchise a joke to me.
Well, here's what's gonna happen because now with AI being able to regenerate actors and recreate their voices, they're just gonna start making prequels to the first Fast and Furious with like a younger Toretto, younger Brian, and then people are gonna be all up in arms because they're bringing back a deceased actor through. It's coming though. We know it's coming.
Yeah, no, that's a joke.
The AI thing is just gonna be ridiculous. Vin Diesel will literally, he won't even have to do this because they can create the voice. But I was gonna say he literally would just have to come in and like do voiceover stuff, and they'll generate a young Toretto. I don't know. It's stupid. I hate it. I don't even want to watch the new Fast and Furious. I'm just so done with it.
Yeah,
But the new Mission Impossible, yes.
Oh, it looks great. I'm very excited.
It looks amazing, and
I want them to stop before it's too late and before it ruins the franchise for me because that's exactly what Fast and Furious did. Yeah, I liked the first one. I thought the second one's decent. The third one, I was like, all right, cool. There's 3. Let's end it. That is it. Mission Impossible, they haven't gone to the point where I am over the franchise or anything else. I love the movies. I think they're all great. Granted, I'll always be a fan of the first one.
Yeah.
It was the OG one. They did a great job with it. Yes, you can tell it is a very 1990s feel movie, obviously, because it came out in the 90s. And you can definitely notice that, especially like you said, Ghost Protocol, which is probably my second favorite one, just because of how much they upgraded everything in between those 2 movies. It went from the old school feel of a movie to that, but I'm just worried. I'm worried that if they don't stop while they're ahead, it's going to ruin the franchise for people.
Well, I can tell you right now, that's going to happen because Tom Cruise has the wrong attitude. He literally said in that interview He could play Ethan Hunt until he passes away.
Yep. Hopefully somebody steps in and says no.
Well, I would be okay with a passing of the torch. Like,
yeah, for sure.
Like if he works with a younger agent and
where he's retired, he's done.
Yeah, or something, but
he helps out. Maybe a cameo or something, a spin-off kind of deal.
It just has to be done right because they tried to do that with Indiana Jones and Kingdom of the Crystal Skull with Shia LaBeouf. Like he leaves his hat with him and he puts it on or whatever. But then it's like, okay, now we've got this new Indiana Jones and Harrison Ford's back because they realized that was a flop. You know, so it's got to be done right.
It does.
But I would take that over him doing it as a 7-year-old man.
He isn't going to be walking up in a walker because he does all the stunts himself, and then they're going to take adrenaline, shoot into his leg. He's going to throw the walker and scale a building.
Well, dude, the Church of Scientology, they probably have like a cloning machine. Like, he's probably going to realize he's done fighting aging and just like transfer his soul into a new Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise.
I'm getting very conspiracy right now, but like, I don't know. I'm just saying, like, we're getting to a point where either AI or technology in general is just going to keep these things going longer than they should.
Yeah.
I'll give the guy this. He looks great for his age.
No, he does.
But it's like Clint Eastwood. Clint Eastwood looked like a badass up until his early 60s. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
But now, like, the recent movies he's done, he just doesn't sell it to me. Like, he tries to be a badass and get in a fist fight, and it's cringy.
Yeah.
And I love Clint Eastwood, but I'm just saying, like, there's a point where you got to stop. Now, I do love that he's in his 90s and still doing the damn thing. I respect the hell out of him for that. But can we quit doing action stuff? Like, can you quit trying to be this badass old man?
Right.
You've still got the look, the scowl. You can still say things and sound hard, but physically fighting younger guys is
it doesn't make sense. Yeah.
It's cringe. He punches a guy in Mule, and it's so, like, it hurts me. I just want to be like, can we not?
He's going to do that to the day.
He goes like, ah. And it's just like, you just punched a guy once. Like,
he's acting like he hit a wall.
And that's what makes it worse. It's like they don't even try to like edit it to make him look like he's a hard ass. Like he doesn't just like wallop on a dude and he's sitting there like, yeah. He does it and he's like, I'm old. It's like, yeah.
Just retire now. But that's the thing is like you said, he's still got the look of a very hateful, like badass once upon a time.
Dude, he does.
Man.
And honestly, there's a missed opportunity. I'm going to show you something. All right, so for those of you at home that are really into Hollywood doppelgangers, there's one that I've always commented on, and I've never found people that really agree with me on it. Because he does have a son, Scott Eastwood, who does look very similar to a young Clint Eastwood. I believe Hugh Jackman could honestly be in a movie portraying Clint Eastwood. Let me show you some evidence. Because my dad had the same expression until I did this. Huh?
Okay.
Look.
All right, no, I give it to you.
Look at this shit.
For me, it's... Where's that fucking picture at? I think the top row.
Wait, which one?
It was that one there, and then that one second to the right.
Second to the right, this one?
Yes.
Okay.
First one and that one, that really...
But here's what's funny. Because look, they've got a picture of him with Scott Eastwood.
Yeah.
And I think he looks more like Clint Eastwood than Scott does. That's what I'm saying. Like,
no, he does.
Hugh Jackman could play Clint Eastwood in a movie, or just be the next Clint Eastwood to a degree.
Yeah, no, you could.
Not that he's not great doing his own thing, but I'm just saying, like, they are very similar looking.
They are. That's
and
wild.
I will think it is a missed opportunity if before Hugh Jackman gets too old, they don't make a biopic about Clint Eastwood where Hugh Jackman plays him.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. But I don't hear people talk about it a lot, but I've just always thought they look very similar.
No, I can
Especially when
I
they're
see
playing hard asses.
it. Yeah,
You know, like
they got the same
pictures like this,
scowl.
where they got like a stogie hanging out of their mouth. Like, come on now. Dude, that should be my Stogs of the week next week.
Hugh and
Yeah, that's a legendary picture. I like the one that's black and white. I like the black and white
Yes.
pictures. Yeah, I don't know. I just think they look very similar.
No, I see it.
And I think a movie about the life of Clint Eastwood would be very fascinating. He is such a legendary actor who is still alive.
Yeah.
Like, he's in his 90s. He's still directing movies. He's still starring. It's like, that's crazy,
He's
man.
putting in work.
That's crazy.
Like, I want to be retired and enjoying life at that point, and this dude's like putting in work.
Yep.
Probably outworking
Dude,
most of the people.
He could have played a Wolverine in the 70s.
Yeah, he could have.
That's wild, man.
That's
That's crazy.
He's got twins. I mean, if he had a little more.
For those of
face
you
hair.
watching at home, I'll bring this picture up because it's pretty insane. But we're looking at a picture of Clint Eastwood from, I believe, the late 70s and Hugh Jackman from the early 2000s from his Wolverine movie. And it almost looks like the same person with a different camera taking the picture.
Yeah.
The hairstyle, the facial hair. Wow. I don't know. I'd be for it. If they announced the biopic was coming out with Hugh Jackman playing Clint Eastwood, I'd be here for it. But first, we got to get him as Wolverine in the MCU.
With Deadpool.
And they better have John Bernthal's Punisher in that movie. I swear on everything. They just announced today, well, it's speculation, that Taylor Swift
I seen that.
is going to be in Deadpool. I was like,
Seen that.
what kind
I'm
of
done.
fucking multiverse are we in?
I am absolutely
We're
over
going to have the
this.
Swift cult coming through a Doctor Strange portal.
Yeah, no, I'm about to get absolutely obliterated for this.
Is John Mayer going to be the villain?
Exactly.
And...
Exactly. I am over it.
Wait, Jake Gyllenhaal isn't in the MCU.
Yes.
Team Jake Gyllenhaal.
We're gonna have like a wrecking ball
Dude,
of
pitchforks and torches.
yeah. Well, I don't get it. Yeah, okay, good for her for taking a stand, getting her music back under under her name instead of her producer and all that dumb shit that she got put through. Good for her. I support it. I don't understand why she's so freaking popular right now again. I don't get it.
I think someone turned on CERN again and altered reality. That's all I have to say.
100. I mean, it's been
It is very
15
random.
years.
It's very random.
15 years since she's been popular.
I've been thinking that. Look at this.
Yeah.
Look at this shit. Who's she playing?
It's
Dazzler?
yeah.
Okay. That's literally just like a reason to get Taylor Swift in the movie.
Literally.
Which I will say, Ryan Reynolds is a marketing genius.
Yes.
I
We're
really
about to
believe that in a past life he was like a marketing executive
Yes.
who made a lot of money.
Yes.
But I think he saw this and knew they needed to capitalize on it just for hype for
Yes.
his movie. Like they've already got the nostalgia with Logan.
Yes.
Deadpool's entering the MCU. Now you're going to capitalize on Taylor Swift hype, which it's just a cult. It's a cult
Yeah.
with
By
millions
definition,
of followers.
worldwide. World fucking wide.
You know who told me about this?
Yeah.
Abby.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I fucking seen
My
it on
wife knew about
That's
a
wild.
casting in
Twitter. So
Deadpool.
fucking wild.
Like I follow these pages on all social media that update me constantly with stuff. I didn't even have a chance to get crust out of my eyes. She was already on it and told me. I was like, she sent me a video on TikTok. That's what it was. I got a little notification.
Oh, seriously?
Yeah, we were in
Oh,
bed.
sweet.
She sent me a video. I was like, what's this? I
I hate it. I hate it.
was like, what?
I hate it.
Now, all I gotta say is, if we can get Jake Gyllenhaal's Mysterio, I'm just saying, if he could pop in, I will. Like Ryan Reynolds will be a god to me. Like, cause I want like when Abby and I go and see this in the theater, she'll be like, yes, and I'm just gonna be like, and like she pops out of her Doctor Strange portal, and then like Doctor Strange is like, and then Jake Gyllenhaal comes flying out and just like Gucci Man punches her. I'm just gonna be like, what?
That will absolute. Wait for the whole shelf just to fall. Fit my fucking shit.
It's all paid for.
God, dude, that will start a war in the fucking theater. A war. Yes, exactly.
I am not in the cult. Okay? Taylor Swift has made good music.
Yeah.
But
Agreed.
fuck the cult.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Dude, we should make like more animated things like the Snyder Cult. Post that, like have a Swift cult.
Oh, that would be funny. Do you guys miss the Snyder Cult videos?
I miss the Snyder Cult videos.
I know some people do. I don't know how many people do.
Well,
Because
I
we got a
can't
lot of
guarantee
attention,
it.
but most of it was hate.
100%.
But
But
do people miss hating on it?
yes, they do. But I think Saggy would like it.
She retired.
I seen that. I support her.
No, staying offline is a good thing for sure.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
It's bad for your mental health.
It can, 100%.
I'm breaking stuff. I'm just. Sorry, I went a little crazy. I'm just a big Jake Gyllenhaal fan.
Yeah.
And this past month or so, I can't say the man's name. Or even make a joke. Like, when I originally was going to the concert with Abby, I said, because she was like, want me to have a Swiftie t-shirt. I was like, I'm going to rip it down the middle and reveal my Jake Gyllenhaal t-shirt. And she's like, no, you're not. I'm like,
Oh,
just joking. But, you know, it's like.
dude, a call.
So then I told her, I'm just going to go on stage and say, Team Jake Gyllenhaal. And she said, you wouldn't leave alive. I'm like,
That's
"What?
true.
Why, though?
I mean, granted, that is a legitimate threat
Let me.
from the fan base, but it's a very general.
Okay. Here, dear Taylor Swift fans. Okay.
Where's the bullet for this?
Let's just think logically for a second, okay?
Yes.
As I eat this nice, cool York peppermint patty.
God, I was munching on those.
We have one person being Taylor Swift, okay?
What?
In this equation. What is the common denominator in this equation? Oh, that same one person, Taylor Swift. With all these guys, right? Variables, because they're all different. X, Y, and Z, and Q, and R, and S.
Yeah, how many songs does she have?
What? Do we not think these relationships are happening the way they are happening for her music? If the songs are about the relationships.
Yes.
Do we not think that maybe she could be the problem in these relationships? Now, I'm not taking away from the shitty things that happened to her. Okay? I understand some of that really did happen. Okay. But when I can't appreciate Jake Gyllenhaal as being one of the best living actors in this modern day and age without getting hated on because of dating Taylor Swift when she was young and he was older, and then breaking her heart. What?
Yes.
Why? Like,
But can we be honest, though? At that point in time in her age, that is what you go through. I'm not saying, like, the bad things, but getting your heart broken is a normal part of life when you start dating.
what has she gone through that not your average person goes
Exactly.
through? That's what I'm saying.
And that's
like,
what I'm saying.
Like, let's just break it down. If she was just a girl that wasn't in our friend group, but we had friends that kind of hung out with her,
Yeah.
we would think that she's just a problem that we didn't want to associate with.
Yeah.
Like, oh yeah, she's the one that just always has guy issues.
Yes.
Oh, but because she's on TV and wears sparkly dresses and makes really catchy music, we're all about it. No, I'm sorry. I like some of her music. When it comes to all the drama and stuff with her, it bores me.
Yes.
I don't think it's interesting. It doesn't captivate me in any way, shape, or form. Jake Gyllenhaal makes really good freaking movies.
Yes.
Okay? He captivates me.
Yes.
I'm a huge fan.
Yes.
and I'm not just being a fan to be a dick. I was a fan of him before I knew about what was going
Yeah,
on with him and
I
Taylor
didn't know
Swift.
about this until probably within
I
the
didn't know
past
about
year.
that until Abby told me. I knew he had dated her before. I didn't know what had happened.
Yeah. But I didn't care. Because I have better things to worry about in my life than celebrities' love life.
That's my thing.
Like, I don't care what happens. If it's bad, like, I feel for you. That sucks. I'm sorry.
But
I'm still a fan of Jake because the dude's a hell of an actor. Like you said, one of the best of modern day cinema.
it is a cult.
No, it is. By definition. Well, I won't pull a cult definition again. I love doing that.
Look at this.
Do you already got it?
There is literally an hour
Jesus.
podcast where they're talking about the cult of Taylor Swift.
Let's see. Cult.
There's another episode from another podcast,
It's almost.
the cult of Taylor Swift. So I'm saying it is real.
Yeah, cult.
It's real.
It's a noun.
Taylor
system-
Swift Squad has become a cult.
Who's up? Oh, New York Post.
Yeah,
Back in 2015. Hell, that was 8 years ago.
it's been growing.
Yeah.
Is Taylor Swift a cult leader?
Yikes.
Sorry, read your definition.
But is a system of religious veneration and devotion directed towards a particular figure or object. A relatively small group of people have religious beliefs or practices regarded by others as strange or sinister. Or a misplaced or excessive admiration for a particular person or thing.
Yeah.
So, even though it's not religious, maybe, I mean, some people might take it as religion, but it's also an excessive admiration for a particular person or thing. That particular person is Taylor Swift. These people have and I mean, we're not trying to offend anybody here, but they have an excessive admiration for them. It's a very large group.
That is the politically correct way to state that.
Yes.
So it's not offensive. If you're offended, it's because you're guilty.
Right.
Yeah, here's the other thing. It's blasphemy to say things like, I'm a fan of Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yeah. No, you get obliterated.
It's a cult.
It is.
It's a cult.
Like-
I actually truly believe that if I went to a Taylor Swift concert with Abby, because she's going to the second leg next year with Rachel, Sarah, and Kate.
Oh, wow.
Okay?
Okay.
They actually got tickets to it. That was referred to as the Great War, by the way. Why is
That's concerning.
going? Yeah, but they won it, so I'm happy for him. Really happy for Abby because she loves going to her concerts. Abby's my wife. She is what I call a good Taylor Swift fan. She just loves her music. She really does.
Yeah,
she
and that's
loves her
fine.
music, and she loves Taylor Swift. She literally was watching like SNL episodes she was on,
Yeah.
and she's just a fan of Taylor Swift. That's fine.
I support that.
But she's also able to acknowledge that other fans of Taylor Swift are not like that. That's why she was like, if you did that, you wouldn't leave alive. I truly believe if I went to a concert with her,
Yeah.
and I did something like rip my shirt down the middle and it's got a giant picture of Jake Gyllenhaal on it or John Mayer, I'm going to get jumped
Yes.
and beaten brutally. Like,
Yes.
actually beaten brutally. I believe that.
Yeah. No,
That's a problem.
it's bad.
I'm going to be covered in blood and glitter.
It's not funny, but it's,
It's true, though.
I don't get it. I mean, even as a kid, like, I always saw her her music was catchy, was entertaining.
Oh, yeah. I like
She fell off the face of the earth. I think she went to like NKU or something and got like a degree in medicine of some sort or some shit like that, like a doctor degree or some shit.
I watched a documentary on her.
I support the fuck out of it.
She grew up on a Christmas tree farm. That's awesome.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
Why in the hell is she popular again like this? Like, I get she's taking the music and making it hers now legally.
No,
and that's
it's cool.
great.
If you're a fan of Taylor Swift, like a diehard fan, it is a triumphant victory. Which
Yeah,
is
no,
why
absolutely.
Abby is so reinvigorated about it. But to be on this level of like, oh, if you like Taylor Lautner, Harry Styles, Jake Gyllenhaal, John Mayer, John Brad, Stu, all these guys, fuck you.
You're the devil.
Don't show up at our shows. We're
Yeah.
gonna beat your ass.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
Like, I don't get it.
It's crazy. It's absolutely crazy.
It's exhausting.
It is. Well, that's the other thing. I tried to tell Abby that I was actually a John Mayer fan, and she's like, "You do not want to say that." I was like, "Why?"
What's wrong with that?
Yeah, he kind of dated her when she was a little too young, and used her and dumped her. Kind of a piece of shit. But I'm like, I still like his music.
Yeah.
Like, Michael Jackson could be 100% guilty.
Yes.
I still like his
King
music.
of pop.
Okay, I like his music.
Yes.
Shoot me.
Yes.
Sorry, but not sorry.
And that's the thing is like I can still be entertained by their stuff.
Dude, John Mayer's so fucking good.
Yes.
His music is so good. I'm just gonna say
Well-
I'm a bigger fan of his music than Taylor Swift. Okay? There's
Well,
nothing wrong with that.
Here's the thing: what if it comes out that Taylor Swift was lying about everything?
Oh, that would be a conspiracy because
And the
Swifties are all about conspiracies.
Yes.
They would say that is the other side of this
Yeah.
equation where there's no cult.
right.
Trying to bring them down,
Yeah.
bring Swiftie down. It's the record company that screwed her over. See, they would.
Oh,
Dude,
100%.
I'm telling you, Abby will be on TikTok and I'll just hear like conspiracy after conspiracy after conspiracy. Taylor Swift
that
can
is-
blow her nose into a Kleenex and just put it on a table and take a picture of it, and they'll be dissecting the shadows of
Yeah.
the folded napkin, and they'll be like, if you look the way the snot kind of adhedes the crease of this tissue, it looks like a 7. I think she's releasing 7 songs on the 7th month of 2027.
But
It's like,
let's be honest.
Oh, okay.
They are the same. They are to her as the Snyder cultists are to Zack Snyder.
But all cults are alike.
They're all the fucking
they're
same.
all batshit crazy over something
Yes.
that doesn't deserve that much attention.
No.
Ever. Or energy, nonetheless.
So.
Yeah. Speaking of the Snyder cult thing, I know we need to wrap up, but
Damn, we got on a tangent.
well, so now with Blue Beetle coming out,
Oh, I'm so excited.
yeah, but
I've seen what you're about
but-
to say.
but we also had this art. Notice these articles get released at very interesting times. That Gal Gadot was coming back as Wonder Woman.
Yep.
She had talked to James and Peter Safran months ago, and they were 100% on board with releasing the third Wonder Woman, and she was excited for it.
Yeah.
But then it got reported that wasn't happening.
Right.
You know what I've noticed about all this? James Gunn never said it was happening. James Gunn has a track record of confirming when rumors are true. He's had a track record of debunking things here and there, but he also stated a month or so ago he was going to slow down on that as pre-production for his Superman was starting. Why are we jumping on shit when James Gunn or Peter Safran or somebody who's official haven't announced it?
Right.
Okay? All these articles, I don't care if it's Variety, I don't care if it's Screen Rant, I don't care who it is. If they don't have a reliable source that is sourced in the article, why are we jumping on it?
Yeah.
Why are we... Because that happened, and then what happens? Oh, boycott Blue Beetle, fire James Gunn. We're back on this whole fucking train again. And I'm just like, why boycott Blue Beetle? The director has stated that even before James Gunn was in position, they were making it a standalone movie just to be safe. They didn't want it to connect. Except yes, it'll reference other superheroes. And it's set up Blue Beetle as a character, his family, and then grow into whatever is happening when the time is right. So
movie.
why? James Gunn had nothing to do with Blue Beetle. Everyone's acting like it's a James Gunn film. It's like, what happened to boycott Walter Hamada films? It's a Walter Hamada film. As much as you might be in denial about it, that movie came into pre-production under his reign. Okay? And we were all willing to go see it then. It makes no fucking sense, dude. You fucking crazy cult fans are so fickle. It's like one day we're like, oh, I stand with James Gunn. The next day, oh, I don't. Because Gal Gadot's not coming back? Are we really surprised she's not coming back?
Can you blame her? She's been in the same boat, fucking Henry Cavill.
You know what she
Ben
also
Affleck.
once stated? That she wouldn't do Wonder Woman without Patty Jenkins. And Patty Jenkins has been let go from making the third Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
As well as Rogue Squadron. Patty Jenkins' career is not doing too well right now. But I'm just saying, it ain't happening. There is not going to be a third Wonder Woman with Gal Gadot.
And Blue Beetle looks fucking amazing.
Dude, yeah,
watch
why
it.
would
Just
you
watch it.
boycott that? I don't understand that.
Y'all are dumb.
It's funny how people's brains work. I just don't understand it.
It's annoying. It's exhausting.
It actually makes me glad we don't do the Snyder Cult stuff anymore because it's just too much for me to even try to wrap my head around to make fun of.
We wouldn't
I'm
even
just
have
so
the
bored
time.
with it.
That's the issue. There'd
Oh.
be no time to be able to do any of that.
Bring Back Zack Snyder was trending too.
No,
And
I didn't see that one.
oh yeah, and the funny thing with that is, all these diehard Snyder fans, when the fuck are you going to support what he's actually doing?
They don't. I've never heard them once say anything about Rebel Moon, which I
all
am
selfish.
beyond excited for. God.
Dude, that comes out this December.
Yeah. Was it
This
3
December.
months? 4
We
months
should
away?
be quivering for the first trailer, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, real fans of Zack Snyder are.
Yeah.
Anyone who I watch on YouTube or podcasts I listen to or friends I have, if you're a Zack Snyder fan, you are quivering. Like you are fiending for at least a teaser trailer of Rebel Moon.
Oh, I can't
So
wait.
if you're online every day, bring back Zack Snyder, fuck James Gunn, blah, 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 my DC, blah, blah, you're selfish. Okay? You're not a Zack Snyder fan. You're just a fan of what you want, and you can go fuck off.
And that's the thing. Like, if James Gunn flops, like,
Which he might. I don't want him to,
right?
but it might.
You know, he drops his Superman movie. He puts his heart and soul into the movie, and it just flops. You know, it happens. You know, every now and then in Hollywood, you'll see a movie where they'll put everything into it, and it flops and it sucks. Okay, let's maybe give him another chance. See if another movie is the same way or not. You never know. It could have been this reason or that reason. The actor, this or that, whatever. Give him another chance. If the second movie flops, okay, maybe start looking at other options. And definitely, 3 strikes you're out kind of old saying, baseball saying. If it flops again, he's done. I get it. I'll support it 100%. But he hasn't shown us anything with DC yet. That's the issue.
Here's how I look at it. They greenlit Zack to build the DC. First, it was just Man of Steel. And then they're like, okay, yeah, you can have a sequel to this, BVS. And then Justice League, which I thought was already greenlit when BVS was in production, but it wasn't. But then they gave him 3 chances, right? His third chance, of course, fell short because of unforeseen circumstances, unfortunately. But at least give James Gunn that. I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
Give him a few movies to build into what he's working on. Let's let it have some time. Because if they had let Zach have some time, we would have an amazing DCU right now. I mean, it would have already been done. It would have already happened.
Yeah.
We'd have this epic story of all these characters, but they just.
And that's the thing is, if Zach wants to come back, I'm sure all he really has to do is send James a text and be like, "Hey, if you need help, let me know. I'd be more than happy to help you out with this."
That's the thing.
I just don't see it happening.
He's invested in something else right now.
Exactly.
That means
He's got
lot
his
to
own
him,
life,
and
his
it's going to
own
be
story
awesome.
to tell.
And we need to just support that.
Yeah.
Because you're right. If he wants to do something, he's going to do it.
Yeah.
We don't need to campaign on fucking Twitter or X. Like I don't know what people think they're achieving by wasting time and energy doing that. Like, does Zach appreciate that you're a fan? Yeah. But are you swaying his motives at all?
No.
Hell no. He doesn't care.
No.
If anything, the bozo that went to see Zack Snyder's Justice League for SnyderCon and had him sign the poster saying sell to Netflix, that just shows you right there, he doesn't care. He literally wrote down what he was told to write down. It wasn't something that came from him.
No.
He was just like, okay, this is what you want, fine. He didn't do that, and if he just sits down and talks, does he ever say, like, yeah, man, I'd really like to continue my deal?
Not once.
No! He's always talking about Rebel Moon, or Twilight of the Gods, or the Army of the Dead verse. His shit that he's working on, that he's put a lot of himself into, and he's very passionate about it. It's like, what? I just don't understand. You know what he does bring up on his own? Releasing the Snyder cut of Sucker Punch. So, yeah, there's that. Where's those campaigns?
No, they don't care about that.
No, they don't. That's what I mean. It's all selfish.
It is.
It's all selfish. So stupid. But release the Snyder Punch. Just saying. Anyways, all right, that's enough of our tangent. I think we
been
kept
real.
this one under 3 hours.
Hells yeah.
Hey, 2:40.
Nice.
All right. Well, hopefully you guys enjoy our tangent about the Swifty cult and Snyder cult and everything happy. What'd you think about the donuts?
They're fine.
Yeah, that's where I was at with them.
I mean, they weren't terrible. They're somewhat fresh. But I don't know. I mean,
Yeah, they had an expiration date of last month, so they were. Really
yeah, no, that's cool. I just kind of flicked the bugs off and called it a day. So
There was no Helga today,
that's cool.
so
That's fine. That's
there's
fine.
that at least.
No, it's been real. We have been. No, I'll tell you in a little bit. We've been requested to do Guardians of the Galaxy and a few others.
By who?
My wonderful fiance.
What?
Yep.
Oh yeah, she's watched this, hasn't she?
She has.
Okay, well, I don't know if I've ever said this on the podcast because we haven't covered any Marvel movies.
We
at all.
haven't.
I have been planning. We got to talk to Jordan. Been planning on starting with Iron Man and covering the entire
6,000.
the entire MCU up until current day. Whenever we catch up,
Dude, we're
We're
to
talking
finish that in like
movies
2085.
in miniseries.
Yeah, we're going to finish that in 2085. See, I still. What did I start about? Oh, I still had to finish Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I have to finish all those. The last, I think, this year shows that's been dropped. The one that's popping off.
Secret Wars.
I think. Where Rhodey's elf or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still had to watch that and a bunch of other little short things.
Or Secret Invasion. I think
That's-
Secret,
yeah.
Secret. Avengers Secret Wars is the one that I'm
That's
thinking of.
the yeah.
I always mix them up. But yeah, Invasion's the one that's on Disney Plus.
Yes,
right now.
Invasion is what I'm thinking.
I haven't watched that yet either. Abby and I were just waiting for it to all be done, and we're just gonna binge
Yeah,
it.
that's
Because
kinda
we
where I'm
prefer
at with
doing that instead of waiting week by week.
No, waiting sucks.
But yeah, if we can't get Jordan to do it, then what we'll do is you and I are just gonna pick, like we're gonna make a list of our top 5 movies or miniseries, and then we're gonna cover them. So we'll have
I'm
10.
cool with that.
We'll have 10. But for me, I'm gonna tell you right now, Guardians of the Galaxy
Yes.
1 through 3
Yes.
is in my top 5. I love all 3 movies. I love the characters, and they actually kind of made me more of a fan of James Gunn than I already was, because I was already a fan of his.
All right.
But I love those movies. From the soundtrack to the costumes, the set designs, and the comedy. I enjoy the comedy in all of
I
them.
do too.
Which everyone's always saying, like, oh, James Gunn's just dick and fart jokes. It's like, well, it works in Guardians of the Galaxy.
It does.
So
Drax threw a ball at a little child
Dude,
and
launched her.
started a war
God.
for like 2 seconds.
Oh, man.
It was the greatest
But
thing ever.
you can tell your fiance that we are definitely doing
Yes.
Guardians of the Galaxy. What else was she requesting?
She gave me a fat list. I told her to put in a message or something, and she didn't do that because I knew I was going to forget.
It was also Marvel? Or
No, it wasn't all Marvel. It was
Oh, okay.
that I know. I don't
The
know.
Notebook?
No, it wasn't.
Okay.
Surprisingly not.
Let's say, because she
She
did say
gave
she
me a
likes
list.
that movie. All right, well, yeah, we'll
Wow.
tackle that. We're always up for requests. I mean, we got so many movies planned that we're gonna do.
List of.
So just to give you guys an updated schedule really quick before we go, our new schedule now is we are posting our podcast every Thursday, and then every other Tuesday we will have a Bond Tuesday. So we have 5 James Bonds that we're doing in the series right now. So that'll mean in about 2 months to 2 months and a week's time, we will knock out these Bond series.
Gotcha.
So every other Tuesday is when I will post a James Bond movie. And I will have already have talked about that in a previous episode that we've recorded and not posted yet. But just to reiterate, every other Tuesday and then every Thursday we have an episode, which will be our more consistent content. And we'll cover something new every week. We'll have special guests, etc. And then we also have our specials that we're doing individually that we are still doing. We're going to hold off on them for a little bit because we're still working out how we want to do them. But we've told you guys, I've got my one about comic books. He's got one about serial killers. Jordan has one about being a skeptic of everything that he thinks is not real. Yeah. And yeah, we're going to be bringing those very soon. And yeah, it's just kind of a matter of figuring it all out. We might have to relocate our studio in the near future, so we have to consider that as well. So I don't want to get anything set up if we're going to be moving it. But for now, you will definitely get an episode every Thursday and a Bond Tuesday every other Tuesday. And we'll just take it from there. So, yeah. And then, like I said, the next episode after this, we should have a link for our merchandise. So keep your eye out for that. We might have already posted it online by the time I post this episode, but if not, it'll definitely be on the next 007 Tuesday or the correlated Thursday episode with the week that this is posted. Let me tell you something. It's over here.
Alex
it's over
Jones
here.
about this.
God, dude. I just always think about that Charlie Day whiteboard thing.
Yeah.
Like, anyways.
I love that man. He's just so entertaining to watch.
Fucking hilarious.
I'm not saying I agree or disagree. I'm not taking a stand one way or another, but
Alex Jones.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, he's one of the most
so
entertaining people on this earth.
Yeah.
Anyone who can't admit that to themselves, they just want to be hateful.
Yes.
Like, you don't have to agree with him. You can think he's atrocious, and you can think his actions are, like, honestly worth punishing him for. But, like, he's entertaining. I'm sorry. He's entertaining. So, but, anyways. Thank you guys for tuning in to our second episode of 007 Tuesdays in the Daniel Craig series. As always, feel free to leave a comment down below or message us and let us know what you guys think. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you have any requests, if you guys just want us to stop because you hate us. Love the hate. And, of course, hit the subscribe button or the follow button. Come on now. You're already here. Why not? Just hit it. It's right down there. It's teasing you. You know when you just look at something and it's like, damn, I want to hit that. Hit it. Fucking hit it. All right? And then you can just slide on over and hit the thumb on hand, whether it's up or down. We don't care because we just need that thumb hit. It's good for us. It takes care of us.
It does take care of us.
But either way, thanks again for tuning in, guys, and we'll catch you next time.